All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Reap Smite League, Week 7. Today we have Sally Salamanders versus Galactic Gangsters. Galactic Gangsters on the blue side, Sally Salamanders on the red side. This is an SDL match, our lower division. And today I'm joined by Pete. How's it going, Pete?
It's going pretty well. I'm actually, like I said, I'm really excited about this matchup here. We've got a couple of mid to upper SDL teams. Excited to kind of see where we get going with these picks and bans. If I can expand my stream here and actually see what we've got going on. It looks like we've got a set top pick.
I definitely agree with the Set top pick. Set probably one of the best junglers in the current meta, so definitely a good pick. On the other side, we actually see Loki on her and Giannis banned. Those are very targeted bans there.
Yeah, and we know that Sally Salamanders lives for these target bans. I'm not totally sure where this Giannis ban is coming from. It might be way out of left field. Maybe they did some scouting onto Dino and saw that Dino had been practicing Giannis. I have not seen a ton of Giannis play from Dino, but yeah, obviously there's something there. But I am super excited to see the Xing Chen Medusa come out for Sally Salamanders. This is a duo that they won Game 3 with against Phoenix the other night, and that Xing Chen looked really, really good for a Sinus ES over there. He just great team fight set, great setting up team fights, great enforcing actives, just a really good pick overall.
Yeah, and on the other side, we see an Apollo pick up another, very high tier pick there with his ability to just rotate over the map freely with his ult. He's a very strong pick in the current meta, and we see the Cerberus as well. Definitely trying to force them not to play healers, as his passive does kind of counter it. Gives him anti-healing, as well as it takes a percentage of their heal for himself.
Definitely deters some of these healer picks that we might see come out of this mid lane. Scored another comfort pick for ex-Playboy Uzi out of the mid lane. That looked really good in their side against Phoenix the other week as well. It's going back to this Cerberus, though. I imagine the Cerberus will probably be heading over to the Arc effect. We know he's a big fan of those Guardian solo laners. We've seen him look really good on Sobek. We know he loves his Kuzenbo, so I'd be really surprised if we see this go anywhere but solo. I know they're not quite as cool as you, Ruler. I know they don't like to run the Cerb jungle, but
you can just put him anywhere. It's like Frank's Red Hot, you just put it anywhere. Jungle,
maybe in your hands,
mid,
not
support, solo. He's just fun. He does way too much damage, and he's just big. He's large and in charge.
I agree. You're touching back on these bans here. The Guan Yu Hell, just getting rid of some of those pesky healers that have been a problem in the current meta. Hunbat's Pele on the other side, really trying to take away some of left click go burst picks. Still leaves open his Ravana, Atatosker, both of which have looked really good in the past. He loves these junglers that get really proactive early, kind of contrary to the way that we see Banjo play. Banjo really likes to operate more as the solo agent. He's really on time with his buff timers. So if we see, it could be an interesting matchup. If we see left click Goberg do his typical proactive style with these early duo ganks, we could see Banjo really be on top of his buffs on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, Banjo definitely good at looking, at the other jungler and what they're doing. He's, really proficient at saying, okay, you're going to gank duo, I'm going to take your speed buff, I'm going to take your back camp. So definitely more of a farm-oriented jungler rather than a kill-oriented jungler. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that neither team has banned the Tsukiyomi, and I think the Tsukiyomi would be a great pick here. But we do see the Ravana lock-in.
Don't think the Suki's going to come out. I'm almost positive this set goes to Banjo in the jungle. And like I said, this Ravana pick has looked really good for left click Gober. That level 2 fight from Ravana and mid or even a duo is just something that Muffin in particular is going to have to really be scared of.
Yeah, for sure. Ravana definitely a good jungler. I just really like the matchup with Suki, being able to, disarm and stun the Apollo and set in those later team fights could be massive.
Now, the Sobek is interesting because this team is very new. We don't know as much as we'd like to, but this Sobek in the past for GG has been a solo lane pick for Arc. So maybe I misspoke a little bit earlier. Maybe we are going to see a Cerberus support from Camazotz. We know he's kind of been trying to find his identity in the support role. His teammates have talked about how they really want to see him be confident, and it is going to be a Cerberus support, it looks like, unless we see another trade here coming from the left. But finding these kind of off-kilter picks to really give Camazotz that confidence is going to be really important for GG moving forward into the league.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of Camazotz, so I mean, he might still be trying to figure out what style works best for him, and he might have just decided, hey, I like to hold down the W key. Let me test out this Cerberus. Certainly, what I do.
Absolutely, and that'll be an interesting support matchup to look at because we know very much what Asinus ES is looking to do. He's played these Xingqians, he's played these Fenrirs. He's looking for these high setup gods, set up for maybe an Apple of Discord from Playboy Uzi, or even a big multi-man Medusa ult off of a good Xingqian ult could be a good combo. This team fight for Sally Salamanders looks really good, but I mean it's tough to kind of get over just the sheer meta strength that GG has come away with on the other side. So what kind of direction are you leaning there, Ruler?
Oh, right now it's hard to say. I mean, I do love double Guardian. I think that Guardians have some of the best kits in the game. Pretty much second to none, in my opinion. Their ults are always massively impactful. I mean, Sobek is great into King Arthur, in my opinion. He has the knock-up, he has the healing, he has the pluck. He just has a lot to disrupt what Arthur wants to do. You know, he wants to be a lane bully, but you can't bully a Sobek out of lane if they're playing decently. So,
but it is also...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You definitely cannot bully a Sobek, you know, that passive, especially in the early game, getting those extra, 21, maybe 25 protections in the early lane just about makes Sobek unkillable. My teammates have often talked about how laning against Sobek is just removing the fun out of the game for both solo laners. But of course, he doesn't always provide that same dive potential that you want to see out of these warrior solos. The Blink Thorns combo just really put solo kill threat onto the enemy backline. Sobek is, again, more about that setup than the solo kill potential itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what Sobek does lack in that, you know, really dive-heavy playstyle where you're going to pop Thorns and just run an ADC. He makes up in the fact that he has displacement in his kit. He's very good at target identification and really just kind of controlling the flow of a fight. If you pluck somebody as Sobek, you're instantly saying, okay, we can kill them. And it looks like we're getting right into this, going at turbo speed. Minions have already spawned. Perfect. Not going to see anything too crazy coming out here. Just regular starts from both. It looks like Sally Salamanders is going for the harvest start there. Not my personal preference, but I do understand the validity of it, especially against a Cerberus lane. Cerberus just incredibly early game.
Cerberus's early pressure is not matched by very many Guardians, and it's one of those situations where if you know you're going to concede that early pressure, especially into a dual lane with Muffin Man, one of the stronger ADCs in this league, you just want to ensure that you don't get your buffs rated. Go ahead and guarantee that level 2, and just kind of give up that pressure that you already know they're going to get for pretty much free.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Cerberus probably has the best Guardian, you know, level 2, so definitely really strong there. Just does so much damage.
It's up there. It's scary. Right up there with Ymir. I'm very scared of a Ymir level 2 as well. Of course, we see that in solo this game. Looks like nothing too eventful happened in the mid lane. Kind of a standard even trade. No deaths or anything there. Both are going to opt to go for the red buff. And it looks like we might be getting a gank over there into duo lane from this set early on.
Yeah, we might be seeing a gank over there. I'm also looking at the architect kind of low as well.
Oh! Looks like we've got a solo kill for Big P over in that duo lane. We had talked about Sobek's inability to get bullied in lane. Something happened. Maybe some minion aggro kind of got a hold of that Sobek. But definitely a great start for King Arthur as Ravana gets in on this Scylla. Does she have her Sentinel up? I'm not sure.
I don't think she does. She hasn't used it. I don't think she leveled it.
Oh,
I think that's a really big Dino didn't go ahead and level that Sentinel.
Big start for Sally Salamanders. Maybe a solo kill, but Bancho's awfully low. No mana. He's going to have to retreat as well. The Strife will hit. Not quite going to hit on that Strife in mid, but definitely a great start for Sally Salamanders.
And here we just see that continued aggression from the Cerberus Apollo. That's really what you need to do when you pick that Cerberus. You have to just say, I'm going to run at you. You're never going to get a point in lane where you're going to be able to do what you want. It's my lane. So definitely love to see them getting that aggression.
When you pick Medusa, you're kind of banking on that early game. Obviously, the ability for Medusa to get away from the dive in a late game teamfight is not spectacular. So, to concede early pressure in Medusa does not feel great for Sally Salamanders, though their plays across the map have been great so far.
Yeah, definitely, up 2-0. Forced out Gisilla. Yeah, killed the Scylla, killed the Sobek, got a lead in, 2 out of 3 lanes. Can't be upset about that.
Important to note, though, that Scylla did not beads on that death, so maybe a little bit of extra safety, kind of a silver lining for this mid lane in Dino. Still got those beads available for another Robin gank if it's coming in, or that Xingqian whenever these supports rotate over in another minute or two.
We do see a fight over in right lane.
Blink defensively from Sobek. Whew.
Banjo's going to go down to that counter rotation from the Ravana there.
Yeah, like we had said on the desk, Ravana is a very scary pre-level 5 fighter. Oh, did I lost.
Yeah, Ravana definitely, really good early game, and he's now significantly ahead of Banjo. I mean, it's 1 level down when you look at it just like that, but that's 13 Assassin's Blessing stacks, which is pretty significant for the game. Shows that you're farming a little bit better, getting those kills, getting that gold, as we see it
might be even a
to
level and a half lead, yeah. A 2-level lead, probably 1.5, but I mean, we're looking at about an 1,100 gold deficit right now. I would imagine about half of that is in the jungle, as we know the first blood gold went over to Big P in the solo lane. Note is that when this Salamanders team has looked successful, it has been largely on the back of Big P. He has been a very good frontline presence for this team, causing a lot of problems. When Big P and Left Click Gobert are really hitting both strides together on these comfort picks, they've looked very, very strong.
Yeah, that's what we like to see. People just consistently playing their top tier gods and saying, okay, you're going to have to ban him. He might not be, the meta ban, but I'm going to make you target ban him. You're going to have to take it away from me, and I love to see that.
Absolutely, and with GG is one of those teams that definitely prioritizes meta banning over these target bans. I can't remember exactly what we saw them ban in the first set, but I believe it was
Persephone, Cthulhu, and Nem.
Oh, yeah, no, they absolutely are a team that wants you to beat them with gods that are not on the tier list, as they pick up the tier list themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can play all those top tier gods comfortably, they're certainly worth playing. They're top tier meta gods for a reason. They're strong.
Absolutely, and both the Scylla and the Apollo, the gods that in seasons that have not been considered top tier, have really seen this rise as of late. Too much going on. I'm so sorry. We had a solo kill over there in right lane for Big P, as well as a fight in duo. We did a gank over there in mid to see Dino fall down, as Apollo is ulting on top of Medusa. A couple more autos for Muffin should get the stun. Muffin will take the kill over in duo, and it looks like it's going to be a clean disengage in a 1-4-2 across the map, though it wasn't a traditional 1-for-2.
No, definitely not a traditional 1-for-2, and we see Apollo go down, so now
unfortunately.
That is, what, a 4-for-1?
A 4-for-1. Unfortunate that Robin still has blink up after the engage he had on Discordia in mid.
They're gonna go ahead and pull this here. Definitely a good call. They got all those kills on that side of the map. Xingqian nearly dies to the Fury.
Xingqian very low.
Get back in there. You're not done.
Be huge.
Only 2 people there. It's fine. Plenty of help.
That goal Fury at minute 6 definitely does hurt. If I'm the backline for Sally Salamanders, I'm yelling at my Xingqian, your life doesn't matter. Die for this Fury. I don't want to have to tank any bit of it.
Yeah, how am I supposed to fight after the Fury if my support didn't die for it? What are you thinking?
Must be a selfish deploy for him from a sinus. Yes, of course, joking.
I know you would have died for it.
I absolutely would have died for that Fury. Maybe not. Maybe not. Doesn't look like we've got too much going on across the map. Just kind of resetting for farming. That Pyro has not spawned yet, or maybe GG to look to answer, which is one of the benefits of getting these early Gold Fury plays, is that there's not really a neutral objective to counter it. So for the next couple of minutes, it looks like we're just going to be farming.
Yeah, that is one of those big benefits, you know, those pre-10 Gold Furies are, you know, you either contest it or you just lose a ton of farm because, as you said, the Pyromancer's not spawned yet, the Fire is not spawned yet, there's not really anything on the map that has a big price tag on it like that unless you're just looking at taking towers for revenge.
Checking in on some of these builds here, it looks like both supports, we wanted to highlight this matchup, are going for what I assume would be a Stone of Binding in that post-boots slot. Both Cerberus and Xingqian Guardians that like to get involved, like to hold down the W key once they rotate over to mid. What are you thinking here? What do you think of this delayed Thieves? Or I know some supports are opting not to even go Thieves in this meta anymore, so...
I mean, I think that Thebes is 100% a core item on support. It just has so many stats, you know, ton of health, ton of protections. Once it's stacked, it's just an amazing item for the price that it does cost. But absolutely. I do love this early Stone of Binding. It gives you a ton more pressure, especially as these aggressive supports. You have the Cerberus who's going to throw down 2 or 3 CC.
This poor Sobek.
Yeah, we were talking about how Sobek doesn't get bullied out of lane, and here it is, 0-3.
Wouldn't call that bullying. This Ravana has shown face over here in solo many times, and this kind of highlights maybe exploiting the playstyle of Banjo a bit. We know he likes to prioritize that farm. When he does gank, it's often to kind of try to facilitate this backline in the mid and duo. So this solo lane pressure is a really, I would assume, a strategically applied pressure, knowing that Banjo doesn't love to spend a whole lot of time on that side of the map.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, you know, really taking advantage of his, you know, farm playstyle to say, okay, I'm just going to be super aggressive and I'm just going to get way more XP and gold because I have kills. As he has 0-1.
You can farm all you want, but when the enemy solo laner is looking like a glorified XP harpy to you at 5-0, that's a lot more golden XP than any back camps can get you.
Yeah, definitely. So we just see all getting a little aggressive, definitely trying to force this Medusa to just give him some
That's the classic Muffin playstyle, yeah. Muffin wants to fight in the 1v1 in that duo lane all day long. He really likes to try to set himself ahead over there. Not sure, I'm not super familiar with the Medusa Apollo matchup specifically. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that 1v1 plays out over the next 5-10 minutes before we start to see these teams group up.
I think that Apollo without passive loses to Medusa, but Medusa with it takes it. He does get the solo kill while Sally Salamanders secure that Pyromancer though, so kind of negating any momentum that Muffin just got.
But it does definitely set a precedent for being in the lane. Medusa does not beads there, which is a silver lining for her. I don't know. I don't believe she got Mez, so I don't know what she would have beads. Muffin does a great job sidestepping that Medusa ult. We know he's comfortable on that god. He knows that matchup really well. Just a bit unfortunate for Melissa over there in duo.
Yeah, that's one of those bad things about Medusa, you know, if you don't have that setup to lock them down, it's extremely hard to land that ult properly.
Absolutely, and with the 3 simply being a root, it's not, you know, you can still auto inside when you're rooted, you know, nothing's going to win that trade more often than not if that Medusa ult does get sidestepped. We start to see the solo lane stabilize a little bit, so that's still a difficult god to bully in the architect pilots him very well.
Yeah, we still see the King Arthur though, doing just King Arthur things. Just pressing every single button. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, you know?
Rolling his face all over the keyboard, as my solo laner likes to say. So
looks like we are going to see Banjo look to
might get a grouping. They might blue buff off the pressure, but we see Sally Salamanders moving up around this gold fury.
Galactic Gangsters do appear to suss it out, yeah. Still is there.
They do have Oracle vision, they know we're here. Apollo coming in with the dunk, cleans up Xingqian quite easily. He's dashing in after the Ravana. This could be a huge play for Muffin if he lands it. He's in some trouble right now. Cerberus comes in. Cerberus comes in, great pure. Is Muffin gonna live this apple? He is. Does his dash up come up in time? Not quite. Big P will clean up Muffin Man, but this is still a decent fight for Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, I mean, this is set. Popped ult does not quite get the Discordia there, unfortunately. Does, however,
that down every single time.
Yeah.
He's in some trouble though. Big P is just wreaking havoc over in this fight over here. It looks like it's going to be a clean disengage for both teams. I believe that was a 2-for-2, and the Fury still stands.
Yeah,
3-for-2. I'm sorry, 3-for-2.
3-for-2. Yeah, there we go. Yep, and it looks like they are gonna start the Fury. It is half health, so they can still
do have Medusa to burn.
To still be around, make sure they don't just get it for free. As Dino comes in,
a little bit off the mark of the
Yeah. This is a huge fight for Galactic Gangsters now.
Absolutely good. Artifact cleans up. So much happening, I don't even know what to talk about there. It looks like we got a 3-for-1 off of the re-engage on the gold Fury.
All on the back of that Sobek. Sobek just came in and said, hey, you're not taking this for free. I'm going to do my best to steal it. As Set looks to push out this Ravana as they do start to get a little bit low. He does ult in, he's able to take out the artifact. And he does not manage to steal it, unfortunately.
Oh my, what a Discordia ult from across the universe. It does not kill Set. I believe he
had to Aegis that, yeah.
There. He did. What a play from Discordia to force out the Relic after the Fury, and GG does confirm it after a very long and exciting Gold Fury fight.
That's it, and taking that Gold Fury actually puts them right back on track gold-wise. They're neck and neck at this point.
Absolutely. What is that? 150 gold difference, next to nothing 14 minutes in, and we've definitely seen and flex his Apollo muscles a little bit. And looking at his build, he's rushed for king size, so definitely a bit concerned with the tankiness of this King Arthur, who's already known of Gaia, tank boots, and runic shield deep into his build, as well as the Shinchan, who does appear to be going for that 4 fight in Thebes.
Yeah, now interesting looking at the Sobek, I'm thinking that's a Divine Ruin second item. That's an interesting.
It's looking like it is.
An interesting pickup there.
You know,
not sure how I feel about it. I mean, he does well aggressive, but still.
We know that Artifact does like to get this Divine on his Sobek. He really feels comfortable applying that nearly 100% anti-heal, just putting a free on anybody in the background if he can get on top of them.
Yeah, I mean,
he can get on top of this Medusa.
Does take away, you know, the responsibility of the mid to get that magical anti-heal. So definitely could be a good call there, freeing up the Scylla to get, you know, more damaging items.
What is that? I can't quite see because of the cooldown what that second slot item is. Chronos Pendant in that second slot. Not an item we see a ton in the current state of the meta. I like the item a lot. But
yeah, I mean, the Chronos could get him out of some sticky situations, you know, the extra cooldown, giving him an extra sentinel to that of a fight, or, you know, getting the ultimate back up before an objective to have that secure. So I don't hate the item.
Definitely a coordinated kind of thought process between the Sobek and the Scylla. Maybe the Scylla wasn't going to go Divine either way. Not a ton of healing on the side of Sally Salamanders. Obviously, Medusa's going to build into some lifesteal. Outside of, then the Arthur has that Gaia, but not a ton of sustain outside of those two at the current moment.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravana has the small heal in his kit. Zhang Tian's always going to have a ton of HP 5 because of his passive. As we see this nice fight over here. Looks like this King Arthur just does not care.
3-man, what looks like it might be a 4-man rotation onto this King Arthur. Amounts to
ults out.
Ultimately nothing.
Walks away. Looks like that might be a good call for the Galactic Gangsters to go ahead and take out that Pyromancer.
Force the back from Arthur, try to take this Pyromancer. Looks like only Xingchen is going to be here to contest. Not the best secure in the world from him. He'll buy some time with the ultimate, but ultimately that objective will fall in favor of GG. And that puts this gold lead at about 1,000 in favor of GG. Really done a good job of kind of mitigating some of those losses in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're dead even on objectives now. Both have taken a Fury as well as a Pyromancer, so really just coming down to the farming on the map at this point, seeing as, you know, Galactic Gangsters are also down kills.
Absolutely. It looks like we've got a small skirmish here in mid, and again we see this huge Discordia ult from ex-Playboy Uzi. He has been on point with those today, but it looks like it's going to be the support for Sally Salamanders that falls first, and I don't see a ton happening after that.
Yeah, no, that's just a good point for them to disengage. I mean, Galactic Gangsters could maybe try to push that tier 1 tower, but I don't really think it's worth it. As we see the Ravana look for a gank here, or it does look like they do suss it out there.
Yeah, they sussed that one out. Ravana ultimately a very safe assassin. I don't imagine too much is going to happen. Apollo getting to free cast onto this King Arthur there. He is in some trouble with that rushed kin size. He will get out, and I believe... Blinking from the Sobek. Oh, he blinked. Sobek plucks King Arthur out of the Scylla ult. Luckily, Muffin Man is there to clean up regardless. A little bit of a miscommunication from GG there, but ultimately a 2 for 0 in mid, and they're going to get a clean reset.
Yeah, however, I mean, they have to be a little bit careful. That Oni Fury is getting pretty close to coming up, as well as that right lane is starting to slow push onto their tier 2, so they gotta be careful and make sure they keep this momentum.
I want to stagger those backs. I really do want to come back and just kind of give props to ex-Playboy Uzi on this Discordia. We know it's a comfort pick for him, and he owns Set's Aegis so far in this game. Every apple of Discord has forced that Aegis out from Banjo. It'll be interesting to see that relationship kind of further into this game.
Yeah, I mean, Discordia definitely, you know, not necessarily one of the top picks, but always been a strong mage, you know, the ability to, you know, hit the Strife, as well as the other ability, the 2. Can't think of the name off the top of my head, but Unruly Magic, there we go.
Unruly Magic, thank you, Rose.
Yep.
Thank you, Rose. A relatively safe shot as well. That combo could absolutely one-shot somebody, an enemy backline, or even a jungler if they're building full damage. We do know Banjo is going to go into that sledge. We know Banjo likes these tanky junglers a little bit in that Panatom fashion we've seen out of the SPL. He likes to build these kind of bruiser builds, stay in these fights for a longer period of time.
I'll take responsibility for that. I brought him to the dark side.
The Gangsters do pull this objective. Scylla Secure is going to make sure that no one can get anywhere near, as I don't know if Sally Salamanders have this warded. Maybe Sobek's looking for a fight after. We commit the Cerberus ult. Banjo cleans up Medusa over in left lane, and Ravana might be in some trouble here. Jumps onto Set. Do they have the damage? Good P with the cleanup on the peel onto Set gets the kill.
The biggest of whiffs on the apple. It was so close to hitting so many people. The Xingtian gets pulled back into the fight. He is going to go down.
See, he's got so much HP 5, if you don't get on him now, he'll basically full heal. And a whole lot happened up there between the tier 1 and tier 2, as it looks like
that's a full
side.
Yeah, 2 for 5. That's going to be it.
Side and the only tier for Galactic Gangsters. I can't imagine they don't get these tier 1s in all 3 lanes, more than likely.
They could probably get tier 2s in probably 2 lanes if they really just go for it, full commit to it.
I don't know, though. Is fire not the call here? A Muffin does not have ulti. That's kind of a big thing to note, but I feel like with Spodek, Scylla, and Apollo, you've definitely got the burn to perhaps go fire there.
Yeah, I mean, the fire can be intimidating, you know, when there's only 3 of you, it's 20 minutes, it's, you know, starting to get a little easier to kill, but it's not, you know, crazy easy, as they do take out 4 towers there, both tier 1s as well as both tier 2s, so.
Absolutely. A fourth, you're never going to be upset about a 4,000 gold swing either. Maybe that is a good call. You know, you get the extra gold, you reset, you try to fight over fire. Now that you're up, what is this? Almost 7k in gold.
Yeah, I mean, you know, towers are a great source of income. You know, you can take the fire and then have to siege the towers down, or you can just say, hey, we've got Oni waves and Dadia side, let's just take them down. So, definitely a you know, good play. Don't know if it's the best, but it certainly worked.
Yeah, it's certainly a good call after some reflection. And I do imagine we're going to see GG try to group up around this fire while Sally Salamanders tries to pick up what farm they can going into an inevitable fight here. I think we might have a little bit of a slap fight over in right lane. I can't imagine much is happening ultimately. Yeah, with full health tanks just hitting each other.
Yep,
gotta love the solo lane.
At each other. We do see them start to group towards mid GG, so we could look for some big aggression there as the Big Chen does go down.
Yeah, that seems, and Scylla, I imagine, probably hit with an ultimate there. I don't know.
It is on cooldown, so I would assume. and we see them take out the Pyrancer. I think honestly they could have went for the entire Fire Giant there, but now the Medusa is going to have time to start to rotate over as they just look to take down this tier 1 right tower.
Yeah, clean this up. This is a stiff breeze away from falling. You clean up that tower, get yourself another 500 gold. You've still got a Science CS dead for another 5 seconds. You still want to try to fight right here, right now if you can. Nirvana might be a bit caught out here.
They actually start to pull the Fire Giant. I thought they were just going to go ahead and bait it, make sure that Sally Salamanders had to fight into them at such a gold deficit, but looks like they are just baiting, pulling off it, making sure to say, okay, we're not going to die to you and the Fire Giant at the same time.
No, they will drop it. Cerberus a bit poked out from tanking the fire. It looks like they'll want to reset and spend up some of the gold from the tier 1 before they take this fight officially. Obviously important to stagger your back. Sobek gonna hang around.
Yeah, and we're seeing, you know, just a pretty normal dance around the Fire Giant here.
Big ult from King Arthur onto Cerberus. He was poked out from the beginning. He is going to get out. A decent bit of resources put onto the Cerberus, and another big apple of discord onto Silas. He's forced to ult to try to gain some movement speed. Hammer's with a cleanup kill onto Shinsha, Dino will fall as a result of the poke from that apple of discord. A lot going on here. Ravana in the back line. Away from the team, Muffin Man does get the auto attack. Very low health bars for GG, and Big P will clean up, as well as Marissa getting a kill on the Architect. That is a 3 for 2 in favor of Sally Salamanders, and they want more.
They want more, but I don't know if you take it. I think Muffin's level 20. He is incredibly strong right now. So, I mean, he almost killed the King Arthur there after he blinked on him, so gotta be a little careful there.
Definitely have to be careful, and you've almost squandered the opportunity to go and pull fire there. I know we've talked about 3 members, it's a bit intimidating, but you have to think with a more healthy King Arthur, you can at least try to bait Muffin back into that fight.
Yeah, I mean, the King Arthur just lost too much health because he did not wait for his team to have him for that follow-up. And all teams are just going to have to disengage from that fire, as we might see a Gold Fury call here.
It's going to group up a Gold Fury. It is just a regular gold, not Primal or Oni or anything, but definitely not a bad idea to try and to get that Gold Fury under your belt. It also, of course, just feels, you know, a bit safer heading on this side of the map. You know that if you lose the fight here, you don't set yourself up for a big disadvantage fight later on in the game.
Yeah, as we do see that both teams have the outskirts of the fire pit warded now. That's a decision that I generally actually go with myself, where you're not going to sentry the side of the Fire Giant pit, so those wards are kind of there to stay.
I would definitely look for Salamanders to see if they can't get a ward on the backside of this FG. Still a secure from that backside of the FG is very, very strong. But we're just going to look for the coin flip on this fire. Sally Salamanders secure a huge ult from Benazov, who insanely good play in the cleanup fight after is going to be very heavily in favor of GG. Ravana and Medusa have fire on them, and it looks like they're going to get away, but a 3 for 0.
There's an Apollo coming in.
Oh no, Muffin. Oh, he might be dead.
No.
Medusa ult comes in. Sobek is going for the field. He's going to get out. Okay. Play from Architect to keep Muffin alive. And just a gutsy call from Apollo is what we'll call it there.
You tried, you know. Fortunately, Ravana does just get to press 2, get a CC immunity, and just get out of dodge.
Absolutely. Looking back on these builds, we see Cerberus. Camazot's getting this Jade Emperor's Crown in that 5th item slot on Cerberus. Now, this is an item that I've seen popping up a bit more in ranked as of late. I personally like it a lot. You know, some would argue it's just simply a worse version of Sovereignty. I don't know, though. Jade Emperor's, you know, providing that little bit of extra power, especially on an aggressive Guardian like Cerberus, can definitely feel like a good purchase.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I really like it there. I mean, it's just not that effective. I mean, it's a good, like, early solo lane item, you know, kind of like a counter runic shield. But I think that he would really do better to just go for either a much more defensive item or a much more hired item, like maybe an E-Staff there or a Pythags, to really make his abilities pack more of a punch like you want Serbs to.
up. And Xing Chen, similarly in that 5th item slot, opting for physical defense, goes with the Breastplate of Valor. Not an item we see a ton on supports. Obviously, you can't go wrong with 65 physical protection and 20% CDR.
Yeah, definitely can't complain about, CC CDR. Well,
it feels great for me, though a lot of support players, I guess it's believed to be a selfish item. That's why we don't see it too much. It's a bit more expensive than the alternatives, but definitely feels good for the person building it.
Yeah, I think that, cooldown on Guardians really just comes down to how well you can utilize your ult. If you're using it really well on cooldown, then why wouldn't you get it?
Ravana spotted out here, perhaps on a ward over here in jungle, and is it just me, or are we paused? Or
we are in stasis mode. I think that means that it is buffering, I believe. Not 100% sure.
Interesting. Okay. Muffin Man will clean up that kill on Ravana eventually. It looks like regardless of the fact that they're down a man and they only have FG on 2, Sally Salamanders are going to attempt to siege this tier 2 tower. Not a bad defense call of the Galactic Gangsters. Big 2-man Medusa ult over here forces the beads of Scylla and maybe the life of Scylla. Easy. A turnaround. Super easy with a huge ult onto Muffin Man, gets him down. Medusa low in the backline. Xing Chen doing his best to peel. Discordia trying to dump out damage, but these are some tanky Guardians on the side of Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, as we see the set start to rotate over, this could be an amazing fight for Galactic Gangsters.
This could be huge for Banjo.
Go down. Banjo gets the first kill.
It's the one. There's the blink away from Xing Chen, and that's all they're going to look for there. Ultimately, a 3 for 3, as I believe King Arthur just respawned. Tower still stands for Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, King Arthur just backed and teleported right back in. I know he was low health running from Banjo in the mid lane.
I'm sorry, I thought he had died at the beginning of the fight. Did he get away and back in TPN? Well, my apologies there. Small misspeak on my part.
Yep, other than that, we're seeing relatively interesting builds. Nothing too crazy going on. Pretty standard. The biggest outliers are the Divine Ruin on Sobek. Other than that, everything's relatively standard.
The Magi's Cloak on set is an interesting pickup. Maybe feeling a bit of pressure from this high CC comp with the King Arthur, the Xing Chen, Medusa, all having pretty effective hard CCs, forcing both the beads and the Magi's Cloak for set. But that item just feels great to build regardless. Coming from a support player who doesn't get to build beads very often, Magi's Cloak, just having that CC immunity feels great.
Yeah, I think that, Magi's maybe not the greatest on your tank characters, but certainly on these junglers where you're looking to go in, beads a stun and just immediately kill somebody. It's absolutely perfect to be able to do that without a huge cooldown.
King Arthur caught out of it here. Muffin certainly has the damage to kill him, and he will. Xing Chen ults Sobek to perhaps get him off of his Ravana over there, who's on top of set. Good Cerberus ult from Canada's again. Scylla ult is just off the mark from Dino. Let's get Toberi. Will clean up on top of set. Cerberus on the chase. Doesn't look like he's going to get there. Big ult from Medusa to deter any aggression. It's a 1-for-1 right now, and it looks like teams are going to look to reset.
Yeah, right now, Galactic Gangsters are actually in a pretty decent spot. Sobek has the built-in healing. Cerberus also has built-in healing once he uses the 3 on an enemy, so definitely had a little bit more staying power than I think that they gave themselves credit for as the 2 frontliners back there.
Absolutely, and Xing Chen for that on his last back part of this fight picks up a Stone of Gaia. That just means that he will full heal after each of these engagements.
Yeah, it is pretty effective. The Sobek Tail Whip is going to be a knockup as well as the Pluck. As
Apollo ultimate, Cerberus ultimate.
Yep. Apollo's dash as well, I believe, is a knockup.
It's that you definitely get that passive online as we see it just procced right there. But in addition to that Xing Chen passive, this guy could effectively never die.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some crazy builds where you utilize all of the really high HP 5 items and you just kind of walk at people the entire game, never caring. Other than that, we're going to see just dancing around this enhanced fire giant now, past the 30-minute mark. So teams
Continuing to try to farm up.
Got to be careful, you know. Enhanced fire takes a lot longer to shred, does a lot more damage, but a much better buff, so this could really swing the tide.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Apollo and maybe one other person from GG try to go get that Primal Fury and make that EFG a little bit easier to shred down, especially with the mobility that Apollo brings in these team fights. That's such a great strife from Discordia. I mean, we see 23,000 player damage from Discordia. Not top, but definitely having a great game. Is X playable easy? X big stream channel on 2 into the backline. Medusa ult on top of it gets the 2-man down, and left click Gobert does clean up Muffin in the backline. Again, so much going on. Left click Gobert cleans up the entire team. Gonna go down as Sobek as well. Another great apple of Discord. Banjo finds the return kill on 2. It's going to be a 3 for 2, I guess, as Discordia escapes with so little HP that the game actually thought she was dead. It had her in gray. Now we're looking at a 4 for 2 in favor of Sally Salamanders. They're going to reset.
Yeah, I mean, luckily Galactic Gangsters were able to immediately take out the Medusa in that fight, so really kind of hindering their ability to look for that Fire Giant or that Primal Fury.
Big play from Banjo to get that Medusa down. We see the Magi's Cloak proc, as well as the Aegis, helping him kind of stay alive in that backline long enough to get that Medusa down to prevent maybe that FG from falling, but they will take the Primal as their prize for winning a clean fight.
Yeah, definitely can't really contest that Primal. I mean, even if Cerberus is there, it does not really have too great an ability to secure. Take that.
Not again. Not that gold matters a ton when both teams are past the 80k mark. We are still looking at trying to finish up those boot sales, so it still matters a little bit. But that turned what was going into that fight probably a 6-7k gold lead for GG into less than 2k at this point. So definitely a great fight for Sally Salamanders as we're going to continue this dance around FG.
Yeah. And, you know, still the same. Everyone looks to be building roughly correctly. I'm not sure if I agree with the Scylla build. Kind of some weird items there. Karen's coin,
what is
not great.
Karen's coin is in that 5th item slot. Not an item we see a whole lot anymore. Perhaps some of the movement speed from that item is helping her, you know, survive this deadly Ravana King Arthur dive. As I mean, we see 18 kills coming from that combo alone. I talked a little bit at the beginning of this game about how when those two are firing, this team looks good, and it's definitely shown itself in this game here.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able to really dive effectively, and I think that's a lot to do with how they have that warrior in the solo lane. Going to be a lot more effective at really wreaking havoc on the back line.
For sure. Small fight here. We know that maybe Sally Salamanders saw that Sobek back. They have the numbers advantage. Ultimately, not too much going to happen. Not a ton of damage being dealt. The GG is going to retreat pretty deep into their jungle. King Arthur is doing solo lane things, just running at 4 people with not a care in the world. Maybe a bit of an overextension as he could fall here.
He could fall, but so could the Fire Giant as it does approach half health.
I called it an overextension. He called it the best zone I've ever seen as we got the Fire Giant down to half health before Galactic Gangsters able to notice.
Yeah, I mean, that was great. You know, he played right to the fullest extent of what he could do there. Got extremely low, but just barely managed to get out. As he comes in from behind the upgraded teleport. He's a ninja. Coming down on the cylinder.
At this point, GG, give it up. He's not going to fall.
Not only will he not fall, but he's sneaky too. You know, he's looking for a flank. I dig it. How did King Arthur get there? We just sent him back. However, Galactic Gangsters did get quite a bit of damage on that left Phoenix.
They did, and GG knows they have the numbers advantage. The minions saw Ravana have to go back and deal with that Phoenix. Medusa dies almost instantly. This could be a great fight for GG if they find a way to re-engage. We see Banjo over here on the side, looking like he might be trying to find his way in on this Discordia. He's going to back here. Apollo, though, is in the air. Certainly going to find somebody who wants to dunk down on. There it is. Dino is going to clean up Big Q. Big Shing Channel to provide the peel for Discordia. Apollo is getting low. This could be an even trade here. Sobek fighting the peel as well. The Waters will likely confirm the kill. It will. Quick Gobert again, just in this backline. Blinks out as well.
There. As Apollo is just going to walk away. Seeing Tien not going to be able to close the distance there, and he's just going to go ahead and heal off these back camps. No,
and they catch Ravana. Oh, they catch Ravana. That ends up being a 4-for-1 in favor of GG. Maybe a little unsure of the call here. If you go Phoenix, if you go Fire, I think both are great.
Yeah, they're definitely both solid, but I really think that right now the Fire is certainly the call. However, Muffin does not take the time to heal off of any of the camps, and he's going to go into that Fire pit considerably low.
I ultimately don't think there will be too much of an issue. Medusa does have her ult up. If she can make her way over and maybe make some sort of miraculous play here. Xing Chen just being a menace, they won't drop the objective. He gets on top of her huge dash move, Apollo to buy himself some time. He's life stealing off the FG. He does clean up Xing Chen. Marissa does take Banjo, but they will confirm the FG and they're going to look to get out of here.
Yeah, definitely cutting it a little bit closer than I'd like to see on Fire Giant, but they do manage it. And yeah, they're able to take that. That's enhanced Fire Giant, and that's going to give them a ton of pressure as they hopefully look for that Oni Fury immediately after. Sally Salamanders cleaning up the, consolation prize on the Pyromancer there.
The bonus movement speed could be nice leaving base if you end up having to back after a prolonged fight. It looks like they're going to group to contest this Oni Fury. Very gutsy call, given that they had just conceded EFG. Banjo and Dino, neither Banjo nor Dino have it, though. So maybe looking to catch GG off guard by contesting this neutral objective.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the resources to do it. They're not that far behind, only looking at the 2,300 gold difference while they approach 100,000.
Gangsters definitely know that they're here. Now they start to go into objective gets dropped, but Gangsters just come in and take it. They say thanks for warming it up for us as a big pluck onto Medusa. Server is also as well. He's going to die for free. King Arthur low as well. Another huge apple of Discord almost takes care of Scylla in the back. Backline. As Stovek darts, again, solo lane things, running at 4 people.
Yeah. He is Stovek. He is going to get away with it for the most part as Apollo starts.
Further, Uzi cleans up the kill on Muffin immediately after dunking. Where did his HP go? Cerberus looks like he's probably going to clean up this King Arthur. He does. Dino ends up confirming the kill there and set. So risky there. Cerberus will clean up this Discordia, and that's a 3-for-1 in favor of GG. That EFG proves a bit too strong in this fight.
Yeah, however, they do take out the ADC, so again, they're not going to be able to push too well. As Left Foot Gobert finds Banjo in the jungle and takes him out.
Huge game for Left Foot Gobert. He's going to get away for free as well. What a play.
Yeah, he is able to get out, and that's going to be 3 for 3?
I think so. 3 for 3. You do get the FG off of Muffin Man, which is huge for Sally Salamanders in terms of preventing any sieges, or at least making them a lot more difficult and eventually prolonging this game. Serial Staff is the pickup after boots for the Scylla as Rose hovers for us. Could provide a little bit of extra health and damage for Scylla, who's maybe looking to stay in these fights a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not the worst item. 90 power, 300 health, 20% crowd control reduction, but being that squishy, the crowd control reduction isn't really going to be too impactful.
With beads and a CC immune ultimate already available to you, you're not too worried about the CC, but the 300 health certainly feels nice to have. And where Left Click Gobert has just kind of been jumping on you all game.
Yeah, and I think that they're really, using that Ravana well to say, hey, you don't have a peel-oriented support, so you're not going to be able to get me off of that Scylla before I can kill her.
Absolutely not. Cerberus has done a fair bit of work in the backline of these fights, really helping clean up on this Medusa and Discordia, but he has not been, as a result of that, he has not been super available to this Scylla trying to stay safe in the back.
Yeah, interesting to know here, Cerberus actually the lowest damage in the game. Very surprising.
It is surprising. To me, it feels that his damage has been quite impactful, but obviously Xingqian, another pretty damage-oriented support, able to provide a similar output.
Yes, it looks like they're going to just sit around in the left lane, not really looking for too much. Kind of not really sure what they're going for.
Maybe looking to find Discordia, trying to pick up a red buff, or maybe Medusa going for a purple, just trying to find a pick onto somebody as they prepare for this FP to respawn. Minions have spotted out Ravana in the right line. GG want the fight now.
Yeah, this would be a good opportunity for a fight for GG as they still have the numbers advantage. Nope, Ravana is there. It is now a 5-on-4 as Scylla has to go ahead and back and start pushing up that right lane again.
In the opposite favor, it looks like this is just going to fizzle out into yet another FG dance. It's been a exciting and competitive game so far. But you have to think the winner of this fight and the taker of this EFG will go ahead and claim this game. A lot of stakes here in this fight alone.
Yeah, and it looks like it is going to come up now. Yeah, it is up, so they just need to go ahead and get over there and make sure that they're prepared to fight over this, because this probably does decide the game at this 45-minute point.
A lot of backs on the side of Sally. Maybe they're baiting a fight, I'm not super sure. Medusa is all the way back in base, so Sally Salamanders are likely going to want to try to keep that information hidden, but Apollo in the sky knows that Medusa's not around. They could look to fight right now.
Yeah, that's one of those good things about the Apollo out there, able to, use it to scout out enemy positions, seeing that the Medusa isn't there. The Ravana just went ahead and backed, so they do have the numbers advantage here as they just kind of hesitate and don't take advantage of it, giving them a time to go ahead and reset and get back to this dance.
Yeah, they might want to be a little bit patient here. Both Beads and Aegis down for Banjo might be kind of the deciding factor in wanting to play this a bit more patiently.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, Jungles are pretty impactful. Not so much in these, super late game team fights. But
I say that as Beads and Aegis might be a concern as he just runs straight at the enemy jungler. Banjo showing no fear with that sledge in hand, that extra tankiness. Definitely there to...
Yeah, that does also proc his Magi, so he loses his free beads. That's on a 50-second cooldown now.
Yeah.
As we look into this
unfortunate there.
However, we do see the Primal Fury going down pretty quickly. Medusa and Xingqian split off because Galactic Gangsters just aren't being aggressive enough onto this fire giant.
Not sure. I don't see a ton of ward coverage over on the enemy jungle side for Galactic Gangsters. Maybe they didn't know. They certainly know now, and they're gonna look to pull.
Yeah, definitely gonna look to pull here. Starting out getting it, about a quarter health, 2/3 down, 1/3 down, 3/4 health.
Drop it right away. With this big of an objective, you don't want to up to a coin flip. You definitely want to try to fight before.
Yeah, but they need to do something pretty quick as those minions start to pour in on their left Phoenix. And that's going to force Dino to go ahead and back, as well as the Apollo, so they're putting...
I think it'll just be Muffin. I think it'll just be Muffin. Muffin's going to ult back in. He can take care of it pretty easily. He's going to ult right back into this fight and likely look to dive this Medusa and oh my gosh, look at left click's health go. So obviously great for providing damage and sets in the backline. Discordia Aegis not enough to save her. She is going to fall. Big 3-man Cerberus ult from Kamazot's Banjo cleans it up on Medusa as well, and this is a great fight for Galactic Gangsters. Charge Ult will buy a little bit of time and even take out Banjo on the side of Sally Salamanders, but Scylla Ult just off the mark on Xin Chen. The CC chain is too strong, and Apollo is going to get the clean deicide, and I think these guys...
Yeah, that should be an end. I mean, it's going to take a little bit longer to get that Phoenix down, but after that, it's free reign on the Titan, as there are still about 40 seconds left on respawn timers, and even then, it's only a Ravana against 4.
Don't have a wave, don't have EFG. They said, I don't need it. The clean deicide is going to go ahead and wrap up game 1. What a fight from Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, Galactic Gangsters just, waiting patiently, saying, okay, we're just going to dance around this fire giant for 5 minutes if we have to wait until our perfect time to engage and get that good fight. And they do it. Go ahead and close out game 1.
I had a little bit of a microphone trouble. Absolutely huge game from Muffin Man. We see this almost 43,000 damage, 17 kills on the Silver Branch Apollo. That build has become almost what you do in every single game on this god, with how strong that item combines with his passive. Just really makes you stack on the power and just dump out damage in some of these late game team fights.
Yeah, I mean, once his passive procs, he's getting 50, 60 stacks on that Silver Branch, giving him just a ton of damage.
Oh.
Anyway, let's talk about anything you see that you're really interested in these builds. If not, we're going to go ahead and go to break.
I think those builds were pretty standard. We had touched on everything we wanted to touch on. We will go ahead and take a bit of a break here, but an awesome game 1, and I'm excited to see the rest of this set happen.
All right, and welcome back, everybody, to Game 2, Galactic Gangsters versus Sally Salamanders. Galactic Gangsters still on the order side, with Sally Salamanders on the Chaos side.
Interesting that Salamanders opt to retake the second pick. I know a lot of times we'll see the losing team try to take that first pick. They must feel confident in the draft that they had, or in the draft strategy that they had going into Game 1. Should be interesting to see kind of how this pans out. Looks like we're running back similar bans. The Ravana, though, is going to get the respect band on the side of Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, as we see the return on the Apollo there. Both getting their respect bands. Both were top kills on their team, so definitely respectable. They both played extremely well on those gods.
Absolutely. That does leave set still open for Banjo, and although he didn't have maybe the game he would like to, it was still definitely a menace getting on top of this Medusa, getting on top of this Discordia time and time again, preventing Sally Salamanders from leveraging some of those one-team fights into these big objectives. As we've seen Athena locked in first overall on the side of Sally Salamanders. What do you make of this pick here?
I like the Athena Cupid there. I mean, that's just a ton of CC, The Cupid has a great teamfight ultimate, and Athena is just able to rotate wherever she needs to be using her ult, so I really like that duo lane. As we see the Cthulhu
maybe
grabbing their second top meta pick. So
huge. I imagine going over to Perfect over in the solo lane. You don't need me to sing the praises of Cthulhu to you guys on the value that he can bring into these team fights. But I want to go back to this Athena. Maybe Salamanders. We see a Horus locked in for, I would imagine, Camazotz. Definitely not a pick we see super often nowadays. I know the classic Horus Jinwei duo combo we saw executed at the SPL level and a couple of higher level leagues was big. Obviously, that double knockup can be deadly, especially going into an Athena and Cupid lane. So it'll be interesting to see what Muffin prioritizes now that Apollo has been banned out.
Yeah, I mean, Horus, you don't really see him too much, This isn't Season 1 Reap where we played or banned it every game, so definitely been a little while since we've seen him played too much.
I personally love the god a lot. He's kind of what I like to call the honorary peel-focused guardian. I love those defensive guardians. Horus kind of feels right at home with those Ganeshas, those Gebs, those Kepris. Just a really strong ability to peel for this backline. And when you have Muffin Man 45 popping off to the extent that he did in Game 1, you definitely want to prioritize keeping that guy alive as much as possible. So I don't mind the pick here at all.
Yeah, I mean, Horse, two different schools of thought there. I think of him as one of the most aggressive supports, with that
Oh, in
lockdown
lane,
that he has.
absolutely.
He's oppressive. You get that early sledge and you're able to just throw a half health at people.
Mhm. Absolutely. And lane Horus has a very good lane is another thing to add. We saw the prioritization of the Cerberus for Camazotz that last game. Sort of a self pivot here, but it is kind of the same mindset with that early aggression. I was thinking more kind of late game how that god functions. Probably as less of a diving factor as a Cerberus if I had to guess, but who knows, like you said, maybe he's looking to kind of half health these squishies by himself. Touching back on these bands, the Discordia Respect band, I was singing the praises of that pick in the hands of ex-play boy Uzi last game. I thought he played very well on it, as we see Scylla and On Her band out on the side of Sally Salamanders. On Her has been a very big pick for Comfort Man. Clearly these guys have done their homework. He's going to have to do something else going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, he still has a couple good options left. He plays, I believe, Medusa as well. And just, every ADC plays, roughly the same. There's no huge difference there.
Very similar play styles for sure. And they're going to opt for this Poseidon in the mid lane with the Discordia being banned out. That, I almost guarantee Muffin goes Medusa here. We saw that prioritization for that pick from Marissa in the last game. So I would be very shocked if I see anything else from Muffin, and we'll kind of see we're looking for both backliners here on the side of Galactic Gangsters. No Scylla for Dino. That has been, I believe, in every official league match they've played, what he has gone to. So it'll be very nice to see kind of a change up for him out of that mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, Scylla definitely a good god. We saw her at finals for SWC. Played just about every game she was available, so definitely, obviously, a very good mage with, the Sentinel having a ton of safety as well as just a ton of burst damage and secure.
For sure, and that kind of goes into that. I definitely understand the ban on the side of Salamander's Horse with that long range stun into a knockout, into a Scylla root. The lockup there is tremendous. Heimdall Morrigan is going to be the lockup here, and I can't help but be terrified of this Morrigan lock-in with a Set and Cthulhu already on the side of Galactic Gangster. That feels awfully scary as it looks like a soul pick. They'll have to help me here because I'm lost.
Is it Poseidon Jungle? I'd love to see Poseidon Jungle. I'm so confused.
It's gonna be Poseidon solo. We know Left Click Gobert absolutely loves Athena. It is his most played god. He talks about how much he loves the character all the time. But to play it in jungle in a competitive match is definitely something I'm excited to see. Obviously, the rotation potential is unmatched, but that puts a Poseidon in the solo lane. We've seen Big P play mages in this lane in the past. He was pretty successful in his last set against Phoenix on a Hades solo that he built a bit more bruiser. But I can't imagine you want to build standards than we would see out of a mid laner.
You build very full damage with those mage solos. Maybe you get like an E staff or something that's still going to give you a good amount of power, but a little bit of more bulk.
I would imagine we see that as well. Interesting that they make this self pivot. Like I said, the success of this team is largely based on this dive from Left Click Gobert and Big P. So it'll be interesting to see at the very least how they want to play this set. It's like, hang on here, I've kind of lost my visual here.
Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, right now on this match, I think that it's really going to come down to how Dino plays with that Morrigan. Who's he turning into in these fights? It's always going to be different in every use. You have the huge burst damage from the Poseidon. You have Cthulhu being able to really just kind of zone very well. It looks like we have a early surrender here. It looks like possibly they were not able to trade gods. Could be the case.
That could possibly explain some of the confusion that we had on the desk regarding the picks for Commanders. But no, like you said, the Morrigan transformation possibilities are honest. They definitely gave Dino a dream Morrigan game. My teammate Hayden prioritizes this Morrigan pick very highly, and I'm sure he is just watched from the stream at home, just absolutely obsessed with this Morgan game that they've given Dino. So
Yep,
it'll
I
be a
mean,
lot of fun to
Cthulhu
see
ult,
that mid lane.
they could chain Horse ult, Cupid ult for huge team fights, Poseidon ult, even the Athena, you know, just saying, boom, I'm over here in left lane now. What's up? What's happening? A lot of different potentials there, depending on who he deems he needs to ult as.
I find it hard to imagine that we go this game without seeing a double Cthulhu just running it down on this triple backline that Sally Salamanders have drafted. But like you said, there's a lot of different possibilities he can go. It'll be a lot of fun to see this mid lane matchup. Or they've based obviously we don't know because we might have seen some trades fail to go through, but based on who was piloting what beforehand, it looked like it was a Cupid mid. I'm not certain that will remain the same, but Morgan Cupid is definitely not a matchup we see very often.
Cool. Looks like we should be getting back into this pretty quickly. It appears that maybe they didn't have a trading problem, but instead picked a banned skin on the Poseidon. Other than that, it looks like we are going to go ahead and queue to spectate. Hopefully we do get in nice and quickly. Should just be a blind pick as we hopefully get right into the game as soon as possible.
We should get right back into it. I personally don't want to wait super long on this game. I'm very excited to see kind of what goes on. What Poseidon skin? I know half of Poseidon skins are banned, but I wonder what skin it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I do know that I would say probably even a majority of his skins are unbalanced, where they have, you know, quieter ults, autos that are undistinguishable from waves, things like that. So definitely a weird god there with a ton of just bad skins for competitive balance.
Banned.
back. Sorry about the delay there. It appears that they did indeed pick a banned Poseidon skin, so we're back into it. And yeah, not seeing anything crazy here. Poseidon not opting to start Bancrofts. Generally, when you see those mage solos, they look for that lifesteal to get that sustained because they just don't have the bulk that a warrior or guardian would have.
Minions have spawned.
And Cthulhu, although not known for his early lane clear, I imagine he'll be looking with this tier 2 boot start and still sitting in base, obviously looking to rush the boot clear. I imagine he's looking to get some early pressure on this mage over here in the solo lane.
Yeah, I mean, that boots rush could definitely be beneficial for that. As yeah, just goes straight for tier 3 boots. Power boots going to be able to do a lot of damage compared to that Poseidon being a guardian compared to a mage. Other than that, we see a Cupid mid and a Soul ADC. A little bit of a switch up there.
Definitely looking to shake up what we know as the meta right now.
As we see forced to pop shell on the first wave, getting way too aggressive there and taking the full brunt of the minions as well as the Mulan, who just does insane damage early game.
Absolutely unfortunate for Camas out there. Horus here can definitely be difficult to execute on wave 1. You know, everybody knows that you're looking to run up to those brute minions to land them off the bonus. Luckily he got out of there no problems. Is forced to use the shell, which is a bit unfortunate. Not too much. They use the dual out of Salamanders into maybe a red buff.
It looks like Big PE is able to get that first kill onto that Cthulhu over there in the solo lane, which is going to be extremely big for him. You know, once those mage solos start to get rolling, you know, they just do so much damage that you come back to lane and instantly die. So the Cthulhu is definitely going to have to be a lot more careful now.
Have to be careful. Giving an early lead to amazing solos is not very good, as you often find yourself just sitting under tower for the next. Unfortunate on the side of Galactic Gangsters, but it's not something that you need to be a little concerned with just yet.
Yeah, now, one thing that's a little bit interesting here is Cupid opting for the Hunter's Blessing Devos start in mid. Generally, you're not really going to see that. You're going to see the Transcendent start there when you're in mid, looking for that extra burst damage, because that's what mages do. In mid, you know, you look for that burst damage. That's what you want out of your mid laner.
Definitely might cause a little bit of some struggle with the wave clear as well. Transcendence very helpful and ensuring that heart bomb does a little bit better job of full clear wave. Morgan does have some decent wave clear and pressure potential in mid, so we'll look to see if this Cupid gets a bit bullied out in the early game. That's just some small skirmishing happens in duo. Nothing to bat an eyelash about quite yet.
Yeah, just, you know, Cupid, you know, could be easier for the Morgan to clear those lanes, but it's Cupid. He has hearts to throw on the ground to heal himself back up, so going to be hard to bully him out of lane. As we see Big P getting very low in that solo lane, has not backed yet, and it looks like he's probably going to have to very shortly.
And picks up the blue buff. I can't imagine we don't see it back here unless he ticks over to 5 for maybe a Kraken in the fight. No, he will not. He'll have to be very safe in this Cthulhu. Yeah.
As the legend of the ocean.
But from a mile away by Ruler there.
That's it. You can't get too risky there.
Yeah. No one ever died from one more wave, he's thinking. I say it all the time, but I guess maybe it's not quite foolproof.
You know, I'm a fan of Uno Mas myself. Always getting greedy. I've died to red buffs that way. I'll be the first to admit it.
Not gonna lie though, if it were a tournament of the buffs and like the buffs fighting each other, my money's gotta be on the red buff. That thing does swing in the early portion of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Once it gets that attack speed buff, it's just insane.
So if the gang can do it, forces the shell from Mulan, not too much gonna happen. Mulan wants to maybe get aggressive here. No, nothing's gonna amount to it after that. Just kind of a showing from Mulan of, hey, I can hit you with this. Back off a little bit.
Yeah, we do see Athena looking to, you know, start a little bit of something up.
Wait a minute.
Not gonna don't get too much out of there. However, Mulan does get the pull back, and they're going.
Yeah, very good pull from Mulan.
And Horus is just gonna walk away.
Yep. That's the thing with Horus. In addition to,
You go ahead.
in addition to just being the tank himself, obviously he's going to build very tanky and support role. He's just a very safe guy, you know. That Horus has the ability to teleport to a teammate, and it will follow all the way to a teammate's dash. Oh my! I'm gonna have to put that thought on pause. As the Cthulhu ult is going to take care of Poseidon. Great play from Architect, and what looks like is a solo kill, probably amounting into a blue buff invade.
Maybe not the blue buff invade initially. They might go for it later. It also does take the cooldown of the Athena's ult there. She did try to ult over to, you know, possibly save him, but it goes on cooldown because he dies before it, fully goes on.
There. See, correct idea there from left click go burr with those mitigations you gain from the Athena ult. Kraken comes out. I assume it is the Morrigan who comes in and Krakens. Doesn't find much though, as no actives were utilized in that mid lane, and it looks like everyone's still standing pretty cleanly. Bad idea to throw that Kraken out if you're the Morrigan, and try to exert some pressure over here in this mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, you know, ultimates don't do you that much good when they're, you know, still up. You know, you really got to use them to make things happen. So I don't mind, you know, just using it even just to force, you know, something out. Ooh, we do see Big P get the return kill.
The return kill.
I'm a mage. I still get to kill you.
Absolutely. It looks like he's going to opt into a first item, Stone of Gaia. On Cthulhu's side, he's going to go into that Stone of Gaia first. We know that these Guardians tend to build that item. They have a little bit less options in the solo lane compared to those warriors.
Yeah, I mean, Stone of Gaia definitely strong, you know. Cthulhu, with his ultimate, he does scale really well with health, so going to help him there. As well as just into the Poseidon in general. You know, the wave is going to be a knock-up and the activate that. The ult as well is going to. So, not bad there.
Call there. Yeah, definitely a good item. The reason I brought it up, admittedly, is because I thought Poseidon had built it, and I was going to have something to talk about. But on Cthulhu, you know, kind of an expected item. Not super surprised to see it there, as we see both solo laners are 2-2. Kind of an exciting lane happening over there in this game too.
Yeah, all of the kills have been in that solo lane. Definitely a good place to be watching.
I don't think either of them have been the result of a gank. I think it's been trading solo kills over here. Not something we see too often in the solo lane 7 minutes in.
Yeah, and it looks like Poseidon is going to go ahead and get that Deomorph right after boots, and I love that item, especially on Poseidon and Ra, because they're already so fast. Making them faster is just, it feels unfair. It really does. Like, how did this Poseidon get all the way across the map? What am I doing?
No, do more on those gods. Just to scale with the movement speed already in kit just makes them. Poseidon wants to get away, he will get away, unless we've got some absurd change to see from Galactic Gangsters. Luckily, it does look like they do have it, as we trade ults over here in the solo lane as well. Athena over here possibly looking to get a taunt into a 3-off on Cthulhu, but with how much health he's going to have in that ultimate, I don't think too much is going to happen past this point.
Yeah, we also see the good counter engage, you know, set Athena for some
guys on top of Poseidon. Is he going to find the stun? He gets the slow off. Unfortunate though, the stun is not going to be able to connect. Both teams are probably going to look to disengage here, but with Mulan and Cupid on the way, perhaps Sally Salamanders want more.
Yeah, I mean, Galactic Gangsters certainly did not get out of that too well. I mean, nobody died or got hurt too badly, but they did spend 3 ultimates in that right lane fight for no reward.
At 3 for 2 in terms of the ult trade there, so something to be happy about if you're Sally Salamanders. It doesn't look like anybody used any actives in that fight. It's the Horus just barely gets away. Will Cupid be able to do it? Not quite. What a play from Camazotz to get out of there alive, and that's another ultimate expended on the side of Sally Salamanders.
Yeah, so not terrible there, as everybody just kind of says, okay, we're done fighting. Let the solo lane be the kill lane again. We see a little bit of an
We'll confirm it. He will confirm it with just an auto attack. of a coin flip scenario there. Very good for Muffin. And Athena just wants their presence on the left side of the map to be known. Athena, again, with that global ultimate, able to be present wherever she wants.
Yeah, that is going to secure that kill with that Kraken. And that's what you want, you know? Athena says, hey, I'm in left lane, boom, I'm in right lane. What are you going to do about it?
Absolutely. You go from just about stealing the purple buff to getting a kill over there in the solo lane. That is the strength of this Athena jungle, absolutely. It looks like she's going to go into, I would assume, a flat pen item after boots here. Probably pretty standard in terms of what we see from magical junglers. Not too much to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would have preferred a Doom Orb in that spot instead of what I'm thinking is, yeah, the Spear of Desolation there. Getting the good amount of power, 120 power, I believe, with cooldown reduction as well. So definitely a good item there. Gonna be able to get that ultimate off, you know, a little bit quicker.
Do a bit more damage to these squishy targets, though. To be quite honest, I don't know who you're looking to dive on top of if you're Athena in these late game team fights on this Galactic Gangsters squad. Morgan can. It is going to be a solo kill for Muffin over there in duo lane. Athena looking to get that taunt into the 3. Is it enough damage? Not quite. I don't know if she has the taunt ranked up quite yet. That did not seem like a very long duration. As Cthulhu cleans up a kill on Big P in between the tier 1 and tier 2 in solo. Athena really good on top of Muffin Man. A lot going on across different portions of the map. Great job, Rose, for getting us in on all the action.
Yeah,
and the Pyro on top of it.
Taking out the Pyromancer. We have a mage solo. We have DPS for this. It's fine. We got our kill over here. They're in left lane. We're gonna go ahead and take advantage of.
But I could have sworn it was GG that got that Pyromancer though. It wasn't even the mage.
Yeah, well, it was. No, you're right. Yeah, the mage was dead. He got me there. Gotta use my eyes a little bit more.
Back in mid lane. What is going on here? Just across the map, excitement here going on. We do see the tier 1 over there in solo side fall as Cthulhu's pressure does look like it's starting to kind of take over on that side.
Yeah, I mean, Sally Salamanders are going to have a rough time if they don't play the end game super well with that Poseidon pick, so definitely going to be maybe a detriment in the late game, but it could also be a huge benefit having the huge burst damage from the ult, but having no second frontliner.
Could be putting a lot of pressure on Osiris ES to really be that team fight initiation, that frontline presence. But we've seen him do it in the past. We've seen some great games from him coming out in sets against Phoenix and even earlier on in the season. I definitely think he can do it. Just will have to be very intentional. He does have a 1.5 level lead on the Horus on the side of GG.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Mulan has definitely a good early game, not the best late game. I think one of her biggest problems is that her ult just places her so much. If you're going to dash through a team, you're just putting yourself so at risk. So, always a little risk reward there.
Definitely a high risk, high reward situation. As 13 minutes in, we'd probably start to look to see these teams group up around Gold Fury with not too much farm too much jungle farm for either side being available. I would look to see those teams kind of group up around this point, but we might see a little bit of a skirmish here in mid. Instead, a set looks to gank around on the right side.
Yeah, looking for the Mulan there. Caught out a little out of position, but does just use the ult to get out of there. No problem.
There, Athena is on this purple buff on the side of GG, which is going to look to get Muffin as well. Quite on the damage, just the soul. Not quite. Muffin ultimately very safe on this Heimdall. Is not even forced to beads there, which is good news for him, but he does lose out on the purple buff, and he will likely lose at least half the way of the power.
Yeah, and I mean, he's definitely getting a little bit focused over there, you know. Athena just, you know, continuing to look for that purple buff, look to put pressure on him, and I think that's really because he played really well last game, you know. Take out the star player from last game, and you're going to have a lot of
Yeah, whether or not he enjoys it, I think he earned this bit of a duo lane camp that he's receiving over here as the Morgan transforms into Poseidon. Doesn't find much with the Kraken. Heimdall ult comes out, not going to be able to beat it. His soul, the beads are still up, and she will fall to Muffin. Unfortunate timing there as Horus comes over just to be safe and be sure that that kill goes the way of GG. And they'll go back to farming, it looks like, after that kill.
We've been a little bit out of position there, but it looks like they aren't really going to be able to capitalize on it. Morgan does really look to make that rotation over there.
Big Kraken, oh, I think they will capitalize on it. It looks like Cthulhu's going to be able to... Oh, can he land it? Can he land the other ability? Does he have the damage?
He can't.
Poseidon's so fast with do more. Like...
He presses 2, he's got do more, he's gone.
And now Cthulhu looking like he might be the one out of position here. Big root to control space and probably get himself out of there. A lot happening there for nobody to fall. It looks like the teams are going to go back to farming the mountains.
Yeah, as Ruud comes in behind the Cthulhu, getting a decent amount of pressure.
Big talk from Messina. Horus comes in, gets the heal, gets the stun, or not the stun, the shell rather, and he's going to be able to ult probably on top of Set as well, just to provide that extra bit of peel. Very good play from Kamazot's there to keep his jungler alive. Excuse me.
Yeah, honestly, both teams looking good. Everybody looks pretty solid on their builds. Building a lot of healing though on Sally Salamanders, so definitely gonna need to see a lot more anti-heal from Galactic Gangsters. I mean, that's double lifesteal on Soul ADC, double lifesteal on Cupid.
Yeah.
Mulan has the built-in healing on her too once it starts to, you know, evolve. So definitely a lot of healing there that they're going to need to address, as we don't see any anti-heal items coming out yet.
Hey, no Divine on the side of Dino and no Brawlers for Banjo in the jungle. And not quite in the support build yet, where you would be looking to see maybe a Pestilence or a Contagion. I'm gonna need to see that the fruition a little bit, as a double lifesteal Cupid is definitely not something I want to box.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like does look like the Cthulhu is opting for that Divine Ruin next item, if I had to take a wild guess.
He did build it in game 1 on the Sobek. They're gonna take the tier 1 tower over here mid on the back of that Morrigan kill. Set gets pulled in, he's probably gonna fall here. Big ult to zone off any help from this region, I imagine.
Right now, Galactic Gangsters are making one of the biggest mistakes you can in this situation, where you just continue to run in 1v1. Not 1v1, one at a time. And there's 5 people. They're just going to keep killing it. Barely gets out. That's less than 100 HP, as Muffin Man finally rotates over, taking out Left Click Go Burr at the back camp.
That feels like it could have been a Gold Fury for Left Click Go Burr. They do get the tier 2 in mid instead, which is big. But losing 2, I just feel like the Gold Fury is perhaps a bit of a safer call. I don't think you lose those 2 members and the gold is going to be roughly equal.
I mean, they did take out, I think 3. I think it was 3 for 2. So I don't think it was terrible, as well as doing those towers. But Galactic Gangsters is going to get the return Gold Fury, and that's going to roughly even up that gold.
Yeah, this game is dead even following that fight. Looking like kind of a repeat of game 1, where both of these teams are playing very well in this early to mid game and keeping that golden experience very manageable. They're going to look to play around this Fire Giant here, coming pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely. You know, 18 minutes. It's, you know, Fire Giant's starting to become a little less daunting, a little easier to take out. And there's also, you know, the Pyromancer on that side of the map, and there's not a whole lot else going on the left side, other than just ADCs looking to farm out, get to level 20, and start rotating.
With every tier 1 tower, other than that mid tier 1 tower on the side of Sally Salamanders being gone, definitely makes the FG fight a bit more high stakes without that extra bit of safety to retreat to in the case of something going wrong. As we see 2 solo laners slapping each other, but Big Kraken comes out from Big P as the set will come help provide some damage, and Architect will clean up the kill over in solo.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, the Cthulhu isn't just going to get one combo. However, he does take out Banjo there. It looks like this could be a good fight for Sally Salamanders.
Where did Banjo go? How far? The lead in the old Cthulhu.
takes out one. Mulan is also looking pretty low. This could be a massive switch up for Galactic Gangsters here.
I don't know how many abilities he's got left up. This fight could go well. Big knockup from Horus. Oh man, 1 for 1. Can we get the cleanup on Mulan? We do with a 4 for 2. And I imagine they'll look for FG here. Perhaps not, with just 3 members 19 minutes in. A bit of a scary call.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they could take it. However, the Soul is able to take out the Horus there.
Yep. Good play from Marissa to clean up Amazons there.
Gonna have to settle for this tier 1 in mid. Not gonna get too much value out of that. Just barely keeping the gold even.
What a back and forth game, man. These fights are long, drawn-out fights. Ended up in 3-4 dead on both sides. A lot of fun to watch. I haven't seen these Morgan transformations result in too much. A lot of Poseidon transformations, a lot of crackening on cooldown on these transformations. It'd be interesting to see. Maybe a different strategy going into these more late game fights. Maybe we see a Cthulhu. Perhaps we see Set come out. A lot of options for Dino going into this. Now transitioning into the late game.
Yeah, there's just so many good options, like you said. Do you go for the huge, zoning Cupid ult in the late game to really impact the team fight? Do you go for the Kraken to, just look to take down one person? Do you say, hey, let's get a third frontliner, go double Cthulhu? That's Poseidon hits the massive ult onto the set.
Jeez, beautiful. Oh my Camazotz, what a play on the peel. The set somehow lives with -6 HP.
Hey, that's not the lowest we've seen. It didn't even want to gray him out that time. He's fine. Way more health than he needed.
What a play from Camazotz, and that's the power, like I was saying, of this Horus in the backline. You can get to any teammate just about anywhere with how long range that 3 is, and the stun into knockup is just so strong afterwards. Huge play from Camazotz to keep his jungler alive and keep this dancer on the Fire Giant about even.
Yeah. And, we're starting to finally see that anti-heal come on. We see 2 Divine Ruins. Those, unfortunately, do not stack, but Morgan and Cthulhu generally aren't really going to be focusing the same targets, so it's not too big of a deal. As we see what I'm hoping is a Pestilence starting to come out for the Horus as he grabs the tier 2 item there.
A lot of good items on the tree. There it is. Yeah, it will be the Pestilence. Very much needed, as they have likely noticed the double lifesteal coming from both the auto attack based gods, Soul and Cupid on the side of Sally Salamanders. As we look like we're just going to be farming the map a little bit more. That Fire Giant, 21 minutes in, 22 minutes now. Still a bit scary with only one person on the map having hit level 20. So.
Yeah, I mean, as they, start to get those items online and start to approach the level 20, definitely going to be looking to fight around it a lot more. But however, you also have to think of that, Oni Fury coming up at about 40 seconds, 30. So that could also be extremely influential and even could decide who gets the Fire Giant, as teams will have to back to defend those waves.
Yeah, it looks like Galactic Gangsters know that they have the numbers advantage over here. We see a big fight. Horus diving the back on him. I can't quite see who. That Cthulhu will certainly clean up the kill over there. Perhaps not, as it looks like Poseidon's going to get out of there for free, and now GG is in a bad spot.
Does get Heimdall ulted. It's roughly half health, and she's just going to be able to walk that off. Guardians don't take that much damage even when they do build full power. However, he opts for the Stone of Binding, looking for a little bit of that hybrid, some protection with health, as well as, a little bit of shred. You could kind of call it penetration. As they drop onto the Cupid, amazing Horus ult, and he instantly dies.
He's deleted the 5-man Horus ult, and I imagine they're looking straight to beta fight it on this Fire Giant.
Yeah, and I think right now they have, a decent chance of going for it. They don't have any secure, though. The Morgan ult is down, so they will not have, a Poseidon ult to try to secure this as. Does start to come over here looking, to contest this. However, the Cthulhu is doing an amazing job at zoning off as he takes both.
Poseidon might have his ult up to confirm this. I don't know how long that cooldown is.
He takes it with the pool under it from behind the fire.
The pool feels it. We got quite a messy fight here. Dino is going to clean up support in the backline. Kraken comes back up and it's a huge double kill. Big B on this solo Poseidon, keeping his team in the game there with the FG steal and the double kill.
Yeah, this is a really big fight.
Lazy backs. The lazy backs.
Oh my god, that's a quadra kill. And I don't think it's going to be a penta, but they should be able to really take that right Phoenix. I think that's kind of free.
You gotta be aggressive here. This tier 2 for sure, maybe even the Phoenix. With 30 seconds on Dino, I can't imagine a little bit. Don't go for that Phoenix.
Come on, hit it. The Soul can tank, she's got the regen in her kit. Don't make these Phoenix tank, please.
Soul with only one ring in the build though, maybe they're not feeling confident going into this Phoenix Siege. They will back up, maybe get the Pyro on the way out, but either way, a great fight and 3 members with that P for us.
They also do take the Oni Fury. Yeah, Cupid does just go ahead and solo that.
A good catch. Good catch. Oni Fury, a tier 2 tower, and a Pyromancer on the back of an excellent fight led by Big P. Very big play, and I owe him an apology. My doubts of the Poseidon solo have been silenced so far.
Yeah, he does press 4, and people do just, you know, go back to the fountain, get put in the timeout box, think about what they did. And we're just gonna, you know, see them, you know, hopefully apply this pressure with the Oni Fury properly, where they need to say, hey, we have Oni waves, you're gonna fight us where we want you to fight, and we're just gonna let those push. And if you don't just let those push, we're just going to run you over in a fight. However, it looks like they're kind of disorganized, not really grouping together to really make use of it too much. So, not entirely sure what the game plan is there.
Probably looking to clean up a couple of buffs before they group up and look to push down this left side. We know the left Phoenix, the left Phoenix is the most valuable, being the furthest away from the fire giant, the hardest to defend, and with that tier 2 still standing. Definitely think we're going to look to see them group up as Athena can split it for free on account of that ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, just my only problem was that they got the Oni Fury and did not use the Oni waves at all. They just completely let Galactic Gangsters clearly for free. That's my only reservation there.
That's the missed opportunity there. The fight is going to start now.
Doesn't get too much out of there. Mayan and Horus also are already down. You also see the Athena Cupid.
Big Kraken for Big P, takes care of Dino. A lot going on in the backline as Cthulhu is in his ultimate, possibly looking to get this Soul. The knockup is there. Does he have the damage? That gets the blink in. There it is. Soul is going to fall. Cupid alone as well. A lot of squishy targets for the Cthulhu to be looking at. There's another kill for Artifact, and it looks like maybe a disengage coming here with the Horus sustain, and perhaps they're looking for a bit more.
I think with the Horus sustain, they could probably siege out this left tower. I mean, the only person left with Fire Giant is the Athena there, so not too much of a benefit there, as they do have the numbers game, 3 versus 4. And it looks like they are just going to go ahead and disengage, possibly seeing those minions start to push up pretty far towards that right Phoenix.
Don't mind the call. You've got those minions creeping up on your right side. You've got your buffs all back here. A lot of farm, a lot of golden experience, though. Experience not super relevant at this point in the game. You got FG off of 2 of the 3 members who still had it, so a great fight for Galactic Gangsters. I do want to touch on this Athena build, though, as it looks like we've got the Staff of Mirrodin in that 5th item slot. I love this item on Athena support specifically. You know, you ult in, you get that double taunt opportunity with Kindy Master. How are they looking to utilize that item's passive in Athena jungle?
I would assume it's kind of the same way. I think that they're really going for more of a bruiser, you know, solo kind of build, you know, where you're looking to do a decent amount of damage, but at the same time still be relatively bulky as they go for that ethereal staff as well. So I think that, you know, they're saying, okay, we have a full damage Poseidon solo. We can opt to lose a little bit of this damage from jungle.
Perhaps, yeah.
And say, I can be more of a setup jungler.
Absolutely, and with that Kraken on your side, that full power with the Rod of Tahuti being finished up as well, having 2 taunts with a Kraken on your side doesn't necessarily feel bad on the side of Sally Salamanders. Very, very interestingly crafted comp, and it's worked out well thus far as these teams are looking like they're setting up for yet another Fire Giant dance.
Yeah, and right now, you know, we're seeing Morgan still level 19, and Horus 2 levels down, level 16, and approaching the 29-minute mark. So you're gonna have to be careful there. Athena does just ult out, yep. Barely manages to get out there, ults towards the middle lane. And we see Sally Salamanders looking to push that left lane while Galactic Gangsters is over by that Fire Giant. However, looks like they are aware of that. They're gonna go ahead and take the Fire Giant.
A risky call from Sally Salamanders. No way to get over there. We don't see like a TP or anything. Morgan is gonna about to hopefully stop the split push. Poseidon does have his ultimate up though, so some zoning definitely going to need to be done on that Poseidon around the back, but they want the fight instead.
I think really just had to full commit to that Fire Giant there. because I mean, unless the Morgan can really just pull out that 2 versus 1 over in that left lane to defend that, it's going to be extremely hard for them to look for that. As they reset the Fire Giant now, down some HP. Dina's already coming back. Poseidon's still hanging out in the back. They haven't warded back there. Haven't learned their lesson from the last time that
Morgan
decided to steal.
Morgan is forced to ult as Cthulhu to try and save that Phoenix, as it looks like it got down to half health. She does run off the Soul and the Cupid, as it looks like Big P is going to find a kill onto Muffin Man and onto Banjo. This fight has turned wildly in favor of Sally Salamanders, as a lonely horse is just trying to get away.
Horus not looking too hot, does manage to dash to the minion, so he is going to be able to get
Got us 3, right? Got us 3, okay. Huge ult from Cthulhu as well. He's going to clean up 1, can clean up both. So we got some firework coming on the way.
They're too quick.
Ruben's going to get away. Can you get on top of... Not quite. Okay.
And he goes into 3 people now, and he's going to lose a lot of health.
Don't heart bomb.
It's like huge heart
Morgan
bomb.
has the beads on the heart bomb.
You hate to see it. Mulan blinks past the Cthulhu, goes for the grab.
Got him. Get away, Cthulhu. What a dash. What a shell from Kamazatz as well. This guy is playing out of his mind, keeping his boy alive. As it looks like Sally Salamanders are going to try to siege this mid Phoenix.
Yeah, interesting to see that their Cthulhu did hold the thorns until he was running away. Now that's one of the biggest parts about learning solo.
Horse ult for chase. Let's clean up Playboy Uzi. Can they turn on Mulan? No, they want Soul instead. Soul both actions down. Muffin will clean up the kill as the counter engage looks very promising. Mulan could fall as well. You're not going to get away from the set, my friend, as Banjo cleans up the kill, and that FG is looking mighty free.
Yeah, that's an enhanced Fire Giant now. They are past that 30-minute point, so they could really take that and look to do a lot. However, they are going to have to be careful with those, fire minions pushing down that mid lane.
So yeah, you've got time for now, but you've got to burn it quick. Poseidon is probably going to look to work around the backside. I don't see... I see a ward on the jungle side of the backside of that pit. Nothing. He might be standing on his own side. On the backside, the Kraken's going to come out. Cthulhu's giant body is blocking everything. It looks like Muffin cleans up the kill on both of them. They do confirm the FG, and can they end?
They're going to have to be careful for those Winions, but I do think that they are going to be able to at least get a couple of those Phoenixes down. However, I mean, both of those auto attackers in the Soul and the Cupid are back up. The Mulan is back
as well.
up, so.
I think you probably just back up here.
Yep, does look
you want to clean up these towers, even up the Scold a little bit. Not a bad call at all.
So it's going to go ahead and say, okay, you're not going to get, Titan for free. I'm not going to let the Winions come out this time, as they just go ahead and start cleaning up the map.
Yep, huge plays from Archifect on this Cthulhu. 26,000 player damage.
Yeah, for once we're seeing, solos continue to keep their top damage into this late game.
Hard to give too much credit to the Poseidon. The Poseidon's damage doesn't necessarily fall off late game as much as the solo laners do, but absolutely a fun solo lane matchup to watch, and that has continued to be 33 minutes in.
Yeah, as we see Cthulhu looking to just stall out some time, maybe? However, he doesn't
got his ultimate. He's gonna have to use it, and he's gonna get blown up. There is too much damage on the side of Sally Salamanders, and this primal is free.
Yeah, unfortunately, he plays with fire there, looking to, lazy back, maybe bait out a little bit of their time over there in that left lane, but plays with fire, gets a little too close to the sun, and he does burn.
Unfortunate there. Not all doom and gloom for GG, though, as they do still have the EFG buff on 4 members for what looks like another 2 minutes. They do have to get back and defend this potential siege attempt, though.
Yeah, and I mean, this is still a decent advantage for Sally Salamanders. They have that mid Phoenix down. They have a little bit of pressure there as they
double auto attackers as well. Big Kraken doesn't find too much damage, as perhaps no Aegis is Heimdall's beads and Aegis are used on the Kraken is what he gets for that, in addition to a bad habit from the Horus. Muffin finds a kill. Big P finds another kill. 14 kills for the Poseidon 34 minutes in, and it's going to be a clean disengage from both sides.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sally Salamanders aren't able to push too hard without that enhanced Fire Giant buff. So they're going to just have to disengage, and Galactic Gangsters back on the offensive just a little bit. You know, push back to the base, but they're slowly recovering. Middle Phoenix is coming pretty shortly.
Don't imagine too much happens here with Athena ulting in and Horus trying to clear out these minions on the side of GG in the mid lane. Horus ways clear, especially with the builds he's opted for. Not going to very efficiently clear those minions. I bet he's having the time of his life right now.
Yeah, he's certainly not clearing them as fast as, you know, a major hunter would, but, you know, can't always throw those people out there. Yeah, he's not having a good time at all. You hate to see it.
Somebody help this guy out. We gotta save this Phoenix.
There's only one. That's the last one, though. That's the last Fire Wave.
So Horus with EFG versus Fire Waves. Who you got, Ruler?
It looked pretty close. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Horus was able to manage it with the help of his, you know, regular lane minions. So, not sure if it was just a solid one-on-one.
Maybe not a fair fight there, though we are looking at an even game going into this next FG, what will be a very fair fight and what could very well decide the game. Definitely want to get set up around here. Make sure you've got lots of vision. Lot of actives down on the side of GG, though. Sally Salamanders definitely have the advantage in that department as Beads and Aegis on all of their backline, in addition to the Beads on Poseidon.
Yeah, definitely looking like a pretty good fight for Sally Salamanders as they kind of back off and regroup. They do know that the Fire Giant isn't up for another 30 seconds or so. However, it is getting close and they're going to need to start really getting in position.
A lot of wards on the side of Sally Salamanders. Want to definitely establish that vision as going back to this Athena build, we see the Sunder picked up. This was probably picked up a long time ago. I just missed it. But with that Bruiser build, having the Sunder still makes you possibly able to just one-shot an enemy backline if you can get on top of them.
Yeah, you hit that, you know, true damage based on their health. You can really do a ton of damage really quickly. Not gonna get too much out of it. Sorry.
Daniel wreaking havoc in his backline. Soul Split pushing in left, important to note. So this is a numbers advantage for GG for the time being, though I can't deny. Okay, we will send Heimdall back. Banjo gets the kill over here in mid. Cthulhu's still in his ultimate. Gonna have a couple more knockups before he falls out. Just one. Boys provides some peel. Big P kind of free casting. Doesn't hit much with the Kraken shelved out, and it looks like it's going to be a 1 for none on the side of GG. Gonna opt to keep fighting as opposed to falling back to that fire though.
Yeah, definitely really looking to make big plays here. However, they do trade out 1 for 1. And that Cupid is going to be out a lot quicker than the Cthulhu.
Big top from left click go Burr as Horus healing at this point in the game is kind of smacking. You've got the CAD shield on set. Horus healing is 250 a person with that CAD shield, probably around 300. That's pretty impactful going into some of these prolonged fights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how well the build is working on set. I mean, it's something that I generally go in my my ranked games on, like Naja. I think that's where he actually got it from. But it's just not really working too well for him. He's really not being able to find those kills. So we might have to look at a little bit of a different style there.
He does still have some penetration with that Soul Eater, still able to maybe get some damage onto these tanks or even these squishies as they start to look towards these defensive items late in the game. I know we saw a lot of Mantle of Discords picked up in the ultra late game of last game.
Yeah, and we
But
do see
like you said, you know, the slight...
that money period, that's why extremely big onto their push for that Fire Giant. They're able to just say, hey, we're going to force a fight over at Fire Giant, and you're either going to have to deal with us there, or the Oni Furies pushing at your Phoenix.
Huge. Yeah, those Oni minions will solo your Phoenix if they go uncontested, especially considering that mid Phoenix is permanently weakened, having fallen earlier in the game. As Dino might be caught out here, has to use the Aegis to maybe live, transforms into Cthulhu to avoid the Cupid ult, maybe provide some damage on the way out. Heimdall free casting right now, important to note. No one on top of this Heimdall, this is one separated engagement. Big P finds the kill, Dino finds the return kills. It's a 1 for 1 as it stands. Architect with a big kill on the back line, he falls as well, 2 for 2. Soul gets lots of damage onto Mulan. The Heart Bomb on Hydra does a lot. He does find the ult. He will explode on the Heart. Oh my gosh, I cannot keep talking. There's just so much going on. It's going to be a 4 for 3 at the end of it, though.
4 for 3, not terrible. However, you do lose the ADC on Galactic Gangsters, so they're not really going to have enough pressure to look for that Fire Giant, and instead they're just going to have to clear out these Onis and look for another reset, unfortunately. Looks like we're going to look for another 45-50 minute game.
Absolutely, and you're not going to catch me complaining. I love to see these late game fights. Both of these comps are executing very well on what they wanted to. This Athena into Poseidon combo that we had talked about has looked a lot better than we assumed it would, given the Athena looking into another bruiser item potentially into that Magi's cloak. Going to give them some CC immunity, opting to go for that Sunder instead of beads.
Yeah, I mean, the Sunder, kind of a weird choice. You know, there's no real big shield on the other team. You know, they have the one shell, but other than that, not getting too much use out of the shield breaking potential of it. So, kind of a little bit of an interesting choice there.
Yeah, but we see the soul. Is it a sold item over there in that third slot for Athena, where that Magi's cloak was originally?
We do. Looks like they might not have had enough money to go ahead and finish it, so they're just going to opt to not replace their boots yet, as replacing it.
Okay.
Looks like there we go. Finally afforded it. Didn't want to replace a boots with tier 2. Understandable.
Especially not a tier 2 like Magi's. Not a super high value tier 2 item. Maybe if you're looking at like a mantle with a little bit of CDR and what is I believe the tier 2 of mantle is perhaps 30 of each protection, maybe 25. It's
Looks like they do opt to, instead of going for the Magi's that they had enough money for, they go for that tier 2 mantle. So definitely some indecision there, but nothing too serious, as they're still going to be able to be there for that Fire Giant dance.
The perk of Athena is you get to be very selective in the item store.
Yeah, you do have that extra time, because you can just right into the fight. Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't have to use it in this case, though. Kind of a slow dance brewing, as she will have that ultimate, maybe for some peel potential in the backline to give those mitigations, maybe to follow up on some dive from perhaps this Mulan or even a diving Poseidon. So still having that tool available is going to be beneficial. A 4-man Horror Assault is going on to perhaps this Soul alone in the backline. We'll have to see. They come out over here on the side for kind of an ambush attempt. Arc immediately ults. We're running after this Athena. It looks like big taunt onto Horus to get him off of any backliners, and it looks like that's just going to fizzle out. A couple of ults expended on the side of GG for ultimately not a lot. Yeah,
we do see Architect looking to zone out that Cupid as well as a couple other members while they start the Fire Giant, but they are just going to go ahead and peel off of that, as he does get quite low trying to fight the Cupid. Cupid has kins. You're Cthulhu, you can't fight him. As Marissa takes out Banjo over on the right side.
Yeah, it's looking good for Sally Salamanders right now, as they still have 3 ults to their disposal. Crap, Fields of Love being 2 of them. That's a big Fields of Love. They've got the numbers advantage. I imagine they're looking to go for this FG or force a fight right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now, a Deicide
Kraken
should win the game. Yeah, and they continue to just improve their numbers. As we see,
Heimel, I imagine
that's a kill.
That's got to be a dead Poseidon there, which is big. You take out the objective secure on the side of Sally Salamanders. You sell a lot of factors. I imagine it's not a huge deal, as they do find 2 more. Muffin, you got to get out of here, buddy.
You can't. You gotta let them know. Hey, I'm here. I think we just lost the game, but I'm fighting. Looks like that could be the end of the game there. It looks like we might be going to game 3. I think they should be able to take that out with those minions.
Yeah, double auto attackers on the side of Sally Salamanders again, proving why this comp works so well. They're going to look to melt this fight immediately. I don't know that Banjo can stop him by himself, or if he even gets the chance, that fight is melted.
He gets a small chance, but I don't think he can peel 4 people immediately. As it just does go down, it looks like we are looking at a game 3.
Oh man, I mean, where to start? We were talking about the Morgan Cthulhu teamfight composition, but it more so looks like that Athena and Poseidon combo, having that double taunt available for big Krakens on top of a Field of Love, just proved to be so strong. All of those gods control space extremely well. Proved to be an oppressive thing to try and fight into without the CC immunity into the Morgan's kit. Obviously, you can transform to get it, but
Yeah, I mean, that game, it really just seemed like, Dino and Arc just, weren't really able to get that front line in as well as they wanted to. Every time they looked to get that double Cthulhu ult, they just really weren't able to get in there. Athena would dash out, Cupid would dash out, Soul would use the Disapparate and go, get the free beads Aegis. So they weren't really able to do a whole lot with their engage, and after they used those ultimates, Sally Salamanders were just able to re-engage back onto them as they, lose that advantage. So definitely good counter engages from Sally Salamanders in that game.
absolutely. Cthulhu, not known for the strength of his base kit a lot of times in these late games. Some people even refer to him as an ult bot. And once the Morgan's ultimate is down, a lot of that damage potential falls as well. Outside of a couple of cheeky Horus ults, it didn't look like the dive composition that Arc, Banjo, and Dino were looking for really played out. Like you said, it didn't feel very coordinated. It didn't feel executed to the extent that you would like to see from what looked like it was going to be kind of a monster team fight draft.
Yeah, it definitely didn't go the way that we thought. Now, any last thoughts on anything on that game as we start to head towards this break?
No, for me. I'm excited to see Game 3 and kind of see what these teams decide to do. But we'll go to a break. Everyone grab your drinks, grab your popcorn. We're in for a long one, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Alright, and we are back for the exciting conclusion of this set. Galactic Gangsters versus Sally Salamanders. Again, Galactic Gangsters taking that first pick. Banning off the set, interesting considering they've actually picked it in the first two games. Not sure why they're looking to ban it out there.
So all that's telling me is that this team is looking to find something more comfortable for Banjo. The set has not looked as good as some of the other picks we've seen him on in the past, and we know this team values that pick very highly in terms of wanting to prevent other teams from getting it. So it's very clear to me that they're wanting to get rid of some of the meta stuff that they've been using and try to go in a completely different direction.
Yeah, and again, we see the same bans from last game from Sally Salamanders, banning out the Loki, Giannis, and Apollo.
Interesting. We're going to get the Scylla for Dino again, which was the pick he was on in game 1 when they won, but you leave this Ravana open for left click Gobert, a god that he has loved throughout the season and performed especially well on in game 1 as well. I imagine this Cupid's going back to mid lane like we saw in last game, so it'd be interesting to see if they lock this Ravana again given the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Ravana definitely works really well for him. If it's a comfort pick, it's a very strong god. Has a very good early game, and if he can just keep his pace, he can easily scale well into the late game.
Mm-hmm. For sure, as we see a little bit of a hesitation on this pick here. Definitely not something that you mind seeing, especially going into a big game 3. Both of these teams jostling for position in terms of seeding. Both teams probably looking to take. Oh, Ganesh. That is a pick. I mean, you know me, I absolutely love Ganesh. He has performed extremely well in this league up to this point. So that is a big lock-in for an ISIS ES.
Yeah, Ganesh definitely strong, We've seen him a lot in the support role. We've also seen a little bit of him in the solo. I love seeing him in the solo. It's fun watching him get kills. Names, I don't know. I know that last season, Atrocity played it in solo. It was pretty fun.
I'm going to have a talk with them because that is quite an interesting pick. But we do get to see Muffin on the signature on her going into game 3. I couldn't have asked for anything more exciting, as it looks like Banjo is going to take the Robin for himself, just trying to prevent left click for Gobert from having that pop-off game like he did in game 1.
Yeah, definitely a solid choice, taking the Ravana away, saying, all right, if you can use him, I can use him. So let's see if he really is able to utilize a Ravana like it was used in game 1 against them.
Yep. Here's a Nike. I imagine with the Ganesh already picked up, and based on what we know from the past, that this is going to go to Big P. It's another very dive-heavy god that Big P has looked very good on. Like I've been saying all set, when left click and Big P are able to get into that backline as a unit and play cohesively, this team has looked very, very strong. I'm not mad at the Nike pick top 3 here at all.
Yeah, no, I love Nike, and she's just so flexible. I mean, solo, support, jungle. She works very well in all three roles, so
Yeah.
not disappointed at all to see her picked up. As we see the Cerberus band, not looking to play against that Cerberus from game one,
Nope.
able to do more damage than you'd like, as well as, shredding protections, just
Yep.
overall being just a really annoying W key support.
Absolutely. The protection shred is absolutely bonkers on that ghastly breath from Cerberus. And with the way Banjo has been building in the set, you're looking to shred through 3 tanks largely. So I definitely don't mind getting rid of that pick at all. As the Xing Chen is going to come out from the side of Sally Salamanders. That's a god that we've historically seen them play. I don't typically think of Camazotz as a Xing Chen player, but the ability for that god to set up for Scylla is absolutely terrifying, so I don't think that's that bad necessarily at all.
Yeah, now, surprisingly, we do see what I would say are 2 out of the top 3 junglers make it through that second round of bans, being the Nem and the Tsukiyomi still
Yeah.
able to be picked up. Kind of a little curious as to what they go for here. Do they
A lot of options
their
for
mid?
sure. And
What are they grabbing here? Grabbing
Medusa?
the Medusa. Looks like we could be
Medusa?
seeing another Cupid mid.
Yep, Medusa for Marissa, obviously a very big comfort pick, but that puts you in a spot of you're either taking a magical jungler here, it could be the Athena run back, or you've got Ganesh as your sole magic damage. I know that ult can be a problem, but to have that be your only consistent form of magic damage feels risky to me, as the Kumba signature is locked in for Camazotz. He's been very good on support with that god, and it looks like an Odin solo coming out for the arc effect.
And we see the Kukulkan. Khan. A little interested as to where these gods are going to go, Looks like Big P again going to run that mage solo, the Kukulkan. Khan.
If you're gonna run back a mage solo, I see no reason to switch up from the Poseidon that worked so well last game. Maybe he's a bit concerned about the ability to confirm those Krakens without the Athena taunt, but I don't know. Is Kukulkan ult easier to land without setup than the Kraken is?
I would say the Kraken's a lot easier to land. You have the Whirlpool, getting the Cripple, getting the slow there really helps you confirm the Kraken. Where Cuckoo, he's a much bigger threat in those jungle corridors. If you can pick a fight in the jungle, where are you gonna go? How are you gonna dodge the Cuckoo ult? So
absolutely not doubting the damage potential of this Kukulkan, but laning into an Odin, I imagine once these gods tick over to level 5, that cage could be a huge, huge issue for either of those mages. He ended up selecting the Kukulkan. But it'll, again, be very interesting to see how this plays out. We're running back the Cupid mid. It looks like we're going to have ourselves a Nike jungle from Left Click Go Burn. Not something I personally have seen from him. So it'll be interesting again to highlight this jungle matchup between Banjo on the Robin and Left Click on this Nike.
Yeah, I mean, Nike jungle. Don't see it too often. It used to probably be my favorite jungler, but kind of fallen off a little bit. But just overall, just great, Got a lot more range than most junglers do with their rend, as well as just being able to just dive super well because got the big jump, got the huge ultimate for the enormous shield. So unless they're gonna get a Sunder for a jungle Nike, they're really gonna struggle to take that down.
Yeah, and with this Nike's target prioritization almost certainly being this Scylla and the Honor, I can't imagine either of those gods elect to pick up a Sunder. Maybe we see a Sunder come from the Kumba Karna to try and help peel off for his backline a little bit. But even then, it seems unlikely, as Kumba would much rather get another team fight-oriented relic.
Yeah, and I mean, this Odin pick is actually really solid, Cupid can't get out, Medusa can't get out, Kukulkan can't get out. But, definitely going to have to use the ultimate well, as he does pick up Blink First Relic. Definitely, I would consider kind of mandatory on Odin.
Yeah,
you got to get those Blink gauges.
Blink is a must relic for Odin, but in general, I like Blink on these solo laners as of late. Since we've seen them shift away from teleport, the Blink Thorns combination that we see standard on solo laners now, it's just so strong. You can just render an ADC so unimpactful in the middle of a big team fight with that combo. So I'm not going to be too upset to see that after this all, as Kukulkan is going to go for that standard, probably Book of Thoth start that we see on this god.
Yeah, I mean, Book of Thoth, insanely good item, as the Medusa gets extremely low, forces the shell out of the Ganesha, and that's just a ton of pressure from Galactic Gangsters because they opted not to go for that Harpy start, and instead got the lane pressure and used it extremely well.
Yeah, this is a start that Muffin has talked the praise of in the server time and time again. You go for this level 2 start, and instead of immediately falling for that Harpy, you gotta push in on that wave, and it works out great as Medusa is forced to use a cup, is forced to use a multi and a health pot to try and heal back up in lane without, you know, getting too aggressive on us. Oh my goodness, we see quite a low Odin, and Kukulkan is going to pick up the kill. That is another solo kill for Big P in this lane, and these mage solos have really done him wonders in the form of early aggression.
Yeah, I mean, those mage solos are really difficult to play against. We've seen a lot of success with them in both leagues. I mean, we've seen Zero in the RSL just absolutely destroy people on Anubis, so definitely viable.
Yeah, the Anubis solo is one that we've seen Zero pilot very well. Kind of a tricky god to deal with in that solo lane role, as unless you can blow him up with, say, a big Kraken or a Kukulkan ult, he's going to lifesteal out of a lot of sustained damage. But back to this Kukulkan, you know, getting that first blood gold, I believe Big P has gotten that for himself all the time, is going to help him get this Book of Thoth online faster, and stacking that just so good for Kukulkan and his passive.
Yeah, he's about a level up right now, still looking to push that wave, make sure that Odin gets as much, you know, behind as possible, looking to make sure he has to fight into the wave to get XP and gold. And I love that. That's just good play. Zone that solo off, see, thirst down the whirlwind and just go for the back there.
Yeah.
Not able to get it, Odin looking like he wants to fight. Possibly, and everything looks like it's calming down. Nothing too crazy going on.
Ravana shows face a little bit after clearing that speed buff, wanting to maybe prevent this invade, but with Nike not having her own speed buff at this point yet, I can't imagine there's going to be too much pressure from Kukulkan, as they're looking to get aggressive onto him, maybe shut down a little bit of this lead that he's acquired for himself. But Kukulkan, another one of those movement speed mages, very difficult to get on top of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that little speed buff goes a long way. Also, you know, I believe it cleanses slows. Definitely a good ability there.
There's nothing too exciting to cover right now. Builds are looking pretty standard. We're looking like we're just farming the map pretty well here. Looking to see how these supports, or when these supports are. Hold on a minute, we've got Honor aggressing in. Takes a bit of poke from the Medusa. Acid Spray is going to actually awfully low. The killer comes out, shell from both sides, as Honor is in a bit of trouble, forced to pee. He's trapped in a corner. Can he get out? He's continuing to DPS, and Muffin gets the return kill. Can Kumba body block well? I think he can. Medusa's in some trouble, and it's a double from Muffin. Awesome fight for Galactic Gangsters 4 minutes into this game.
That was absolutely insane from Camazotz to be able to block enough autos to turn that fight. That was crazy. As Cupid comes in, barely misses the heart bomb after the dash.
Unfortunate. He's got to look out for his own, as he might lose his red buff as a result of this rotation. Nike will try to defend. She does confirm it with the ultimate, and she's going to get out of there scot-free. But no, like you said, Camazotz, for someone we were talking about not quite having the confidence in the support role, has looked very good in all 3 games of this set.
Yeah, definitely able to put in just a little bit of work there. And, you know, just doing support things. As, you know, hopefully we can get the gods ordered a little bit more correctly. Get the jungles in the right spot. Supports in the right spot, you know. Good old Rose on the camera. Yep, not vile tonight. Can see the difference, you know. Not to be mean, I love my boy Rose, but oh boy.
I think Rose is doing a fantastic job, as are you, Ruler. Very good job on the cast so far.
Yeah, you too, you know, once you start to get over these mic issues where able to do quite a bit here. Definitely looking good.
Thank you very much. We're not getting paid enough.
Rose
Thank you,
saying
Rose.
he doesn't
for
get
the,
paid enough. I don't think he gets paid at all. Go ahead and press O. O and P, I believe. There we go. So, you know, typing just not working.
Luckily, we don't miss too much. Both of these teams continuing to farm the map. 5 minutes in, obviously, a little early to be looking to fight over Gold Fury without any sort of picks. We see the support starter try to make an impact in mid here, as it looks like Sally Salamanders are going to try to confirm those oracles for themselves. But other than that, not too much out of the ordinary going on.
Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of a lead come out in the duo lane. The XP lead on the on-hurt as well as the item lead. He has that full Devos, while the Medusa has tier 2 boots and tier 1 Devos, so definitely a little bit of a lead there. Gonna have this power spike on line faster.
Much quicker, yeah. Definitely does not feel good as somebody falls. Big P ends up getting another kill onto Architect into the solo lane. Sorry, my stream lagged just a little bit. Another huge kill for this Cuckoo Khan. It's looking like it might be a battle of the side lanes going into this game 3, as both teams have exerted pressure in different places on the map.
However, we do see Muffin, getting aggressed on by this Nike. Maybe not unaware yet, doesn't have the ward on the other side.
Does have the ultimate up, forced to use it. He does get the kill. Ganesh ult on top of him, and he's just dead. Yeah, not a lot he can do there.
That was definitely a good rotation from the Sally Salamanders there, looking to say, hey, you're kind of bullying our ADC, let's go ahead and take you out. And they do get the good engage after the Medusa has already fallen.
Unfortunate that the Medusa has to fall, but getting that kill, getting that shutdown gold onto Nike from the 3-0 on her is going to be big. As just prior, we saw the Scylla ult a bit off the mark and possibly confirming that kill on the Cupid. But we see that shutdown kill alone has put Nike a level, maybe a level and a half over Banjo. Could look to maybe exert some pressure in this mid 3v3 as a result of that experience gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything too crazy, but this Kukulkan is just putting so much damage on this Odin.
So much work, that bleed is gonna hurt.
However, he's already half health, he just came back to lane, so gotta
Jump in with the Odin page. We do have Ravana over here as well. I can't imagine Kukulkan gets out of this one, but he does provide some damage though. But 2-man rotation on the support Cuckoo Khan, and what else can you do if you're on Big P there? What can you do to avoid that? Just a bit of unfortunate timing for him, but a great return kill for Galactic Gangsters.
So, if you wanted a good answer for what Big P could have done there, it's ward. That's one thing you never see out of solo laners, and that is those early wards to make sure that you just don't get ganked.
Very true, he does.
You're on Kukulkan, you don't have a dash, you don't have, a good movement ability like that, so you really have to be, watchful for those ganks there.
Yep. Very true. He does have 2 wards in hand. It doesn't look like, if I'm able to zoom in enough, it doesn't look like any have been played on the solo side of the map, so very good on GG to get a punishment there. Ganesh and Scylla will trade ult here in mid, as Playboy Uzi does confirm the kill onto Banjo in his own jungle, and onto Dino. It's a very good fight for Sally Salamanders in between the tier 1 and tier 2, and that should be an attempted Gold Fury here, but with
should be a Gold Fury around. Cuckoo is going to go ahead and take down that right tier 1 as Odin does rotate.
Which is not where you want to be.
Forced to ult out. Forced to ult out.
Yeah, not ideal if you're Kumba, but he does make it out with his life. Looks like Arc is trying to fend off some aggression onto the Gold Fury over here in solo. Does a decent job of that. Muffin with his ult up does have some decent steal potential if they do make their way to the Gold Fury, but it doesn't look like they're going to.
Yeah, and Big P just continuing to split push, getting a good amount of poke onto that tier 2 tower. However, Odin is looking to rotate back over. Does not pick the right pathing though, and not going to be able to get behind the Cuckoo to look for any sort of engage there.
Unfortunate there, but Cuckoo again with that movement speed in his kit, gonna get out of there pretty quickly. And it looks like we're just gonna kind of revert back to farming as normal. The Gold Fury does still stand in that Pyro spawn 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, so everything's on the map right now, and I think that the kills are really going to start mattering at this point, Going to have to look for those good picks to say, okay, we just killed Muffin, let's take that Gold Fury, or we just got pressure from mid or solo, and you just have to look for those, you know, objectives now. However, we see the Cookie Con getting ganked again, pushed, you know, very far up, and he's going to go ahead and drop because of it.
Yeah, the ult and the 2 will provide some damage output, but ultimately he is going to fall. He did get his wards placed, but still, to be that far up this early in the game, you know, some people will argue you don't want to take a tier 1 tower too early. Might be suffering the consequences of that here as he falls for the second time.
Yeah.
Big Nike ult comes out. Does she have the damage to clean up on Architect? She does. The Oath Cage will come out just in time, but it doesn't look like too much is going to happen as a result. Unless we see a big dash in from Ganesh, the silence comes out. No ultimates available on this side of the map for Sally Salamanders, though, and that's going to be a disengage and maybe a pyro.
Yeah, it looks like they are heading for that Pyromancer. Definitely a good call there. However, Muffin just continues to push this aggression in this duo lane.
Doesn't have it? No, he does not have it. Don't mind that ultimate there if you're Muffin. Potentially locking down that kill on Medusa. She is forced to back. Kukulkan shows the space over here as well. So we will have to back up. It won't be a tower for free, but you can't blame the aggression on the side of Muffin for wanting to fight there.
No, I mean, it really seems like he's really confident in this duo lane matchup, and he says, I can win these 1v1 fights. I'm just going to continue to force this fight because I can win it. And he's doing a really good job of that, just pushing the fight constantly.
That's just the type of player he is, you know, and you can't blame him for it. It's worked out well for him and his steps so far. And he's 3-1 in this game as well. You've got to be looking to fight around Muffin, as it looks like this Gold Fury is going to go down for free. No contest is here on the side of GG just yet. I don't believe they had that ward at the Oracle Vision.
They did. They had a ward that Muffin actually placed previously when they were looking at the Gold Fury the first time. He placed it right inside the pit so he would be able to snipe over the wall.
Interesting. So maybe a calculated decision to let that Gold Fury fall. Maybe they just weren't in a position to contest. Either way, a good objective to have in the bag for Sally Salamanders is it looks like it's a 3,500 gold lead, in addition to having some small XP leads in mid, support, and in solo.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty substantial one in the support role there. Looking at 3 levels, 2.5, and, you know, Ganesh getting the Stone of Binding. I mean, I don't love Stone of Binding on Ganesha.
Ganesh, the ultimate, like I said, does provide a lot of damage. You do get, it does provide that AoE effect as well, so maybe you're looking to get that kind of indirect flat pin from the item. And with how easily Ganesh stacks that Gauntlet of Thieves with the passive, it's not a terrible choice for someone who's looking to fight aggressively. And with him having affected 2/3 of the kills on the side of Sally Salamanders, you can't be too upset about it. It could be one of those situations as well where maybe he just had enough money for it when he was in the store, so he went ahead and picked it up.
Yeah, I just don't think that he really applies it too well, you know? You're only going to get that protection shred when you land CC, and, you know, that's going to be his ultimate and his dash, his 3, his knockup.
Yeah. It would, I imagine it would work on his silence as well.
Yeah, I guess, but he's not really going to be able to take use of it unless he's just doing it for the team there.
Yep. Now, the protection shred onto some of these tankier junglers with the sledge on Robin might be useful if that Robin's looking to dive here, but we haven't seen a whole lot of dive coming from Robin. Both of those kills have come as a result of exerting pressure around the map, as Kamazotz is going to fall pretty deep in the enemy jungle.
Go on like this.
Muffin does hit the impale to get him away. Nike just misses the jump, and Robin's able to get
unfortunate, and Robin heals back up to half pretty quickly. The heart palm off the mark. Still a kind of an interesting spot though. Crush does about half damage to Kukulkan. Still ult is off the mark and she's gonna fall. That is just an unfortunate spot to be in if you're Dino. Ganesh locking down this Oath, and can they get him? They will, and that's gotta be
Killing spree.
That's a tier 1 tower, and oh no, Banjo's able to pick up the Nike in the back.
Good return kill. Very good return kill from Banjo.
Get low. However, that big Kukulkan is able to put out a lot of damage. However, Muffin is able to get him in the back.
Big rotation for Muffin, big ultimate lockdown Big P, and that's going to deter any aggression for now. Cooper's got to get out of here with that heart bomb on him. So ultimately, that ends up being the a 3 for 2 at the end of it, with a tier 1 tower falling on the side of Salamanders.
Yeah, not terrible fights for either. Keeping it relatively normal. Interesting Ganesh over there, maybe just to disengage there, force the Robin to fight alone,
Yep.
but not going to get too much out of it.
Yeah, but with Ganesh ult cooldown being such a low base cooldown, you can kind of throw those out pretty willy-nilly, especially considering the Pyro's down, the Gold Fury's down, not a ton to be fighting over. It definitely doesn't feel too bad to throw that. Just kind of throw that out to ensure a safe disengage.
Yeah, definitely not bad. And like I was saying last game, you know, the ultimates don't do anything unless you throw them out there.
Yep.
That's why they have cooldown, so they come back up.
Yep. Looks like we're going to see a little bit more farming the map here. Be a good opportunity to look at some builds. We see both the mid and the hunter for the side of Sally Salamanders opting for that Devourer's Gauntlet. Medusa a bit behind on stacks relative to both the On-Her, who has it fully stacked, and Cupid on her own team. So lacking a little bit in this fight potential over here in lane.
Yeah, definitely having a little bit harder of a time stacking it. I mean, Muffin's just been dominating that lane. The Medusa just hasn't really had an opportunity to just go ahead and farm out waves, so I can definitely understand that. And now we have pretty much all the objectives back up. Fury respawns in 20 seconds, Pyromancer's back up. However, Marissa is able to go ahead and take out that tier 1 tower, giving her team a little bit more of a gold lead. As they will just go ahead and take down this Pyromancer as well. Odin is coming. He is too late, yes. He is too late.
Yeah. Cupid and the bleed damage from Coco Khan proved to be too much, and that just shreds down. But oh my goodness, he's almost able to get the kill, but now he's caught out in the fields of love a bit. Is forced to... No, he is not forced to use the beads as he just ults out of there and gets out pretty scot-free.
Yeah, and I think that really just comes down to Sally Salamanders just having so much ward coverage around where they're looking to fight.
Oh, yeah.
They said, okay, we're going to go ahead and take Pyro, and that's what, 6 wards over there? 6 wards on that side of that?
No, Salamander's vision is absolutely incredible. Very good job of Rose to kind of give us that view. So it looks like these teams are going to group up around Gold Fury. Salamander's going into this fight with about a 3,500 gold lead, but you've got to get on top of Muffin if you're Salamanders. This guy is huge right now.
Yeah, Sally Salamanders, again, just looking to dominate this map, taking the second Gold Fury as well as the Pyromancer previously, so they're just pushing their lead slowly but surely as it grows to, what is that, a 4,500 gold lead?
4.2k it looks like. Gonna go up and down, of course, with the ebb and flow of the waves of a little bit, but definitely put themselves in a comfortable position. Assuming they can group up effectively and kind of keep Muffin out of these fights, it's gonna look really good for this team as they've set themselves up for a pretty cozy mid-late game.
Yeah, I mean, Galactic Gangsters really just haven't been fighting around Muffin, where he's, you know, kind of their star player. He's really been consistent through this entire set, so I think they really just need to group up around him and say, okay, we're here to fight with you, not on the other side of the map where you can't help. As we see a huge level discrepancy. Level 18 on her with a little girl, level 13 Scylla next to him.
No, definitely could look to fight around this on her, being as big as he is right now. Does look like we're seeing a small grouping over there on the right side of the map, possibly an engage coming from Galactic Gangsters, as they do have the numbers advantage in right lane.
Kulkin does go down, Nike is able to jump out, and that's going to be another good kill on that Kukulkan Khan because he does not have that solo lane warded, and he's an immobile mage.
Big Ganesh ult. Silence as well. These guys are locked in. Cupid ult on top of it. What a huge combination. Playable Uzi has been on point this set. Ganesh is low though, so it looks like these teams are going to get out of here for free as Ganesh does back.
Sally Salamanders are just playing this counter engage really well. However, Galactic Gangsters coming back into this fight, getting a lot of low health bars, but no finished kills.
He got me right in
There
the
it
They
is.
do go
Banjo
ahead and
does
drop
find
the
the kill.
Ganesha. Looks like Nike will be able to get out. Cupid definitely out, and looks like they're just gonna have to disengage. No, Ravana going in for the kill.
Yeah, I don't know that
Gets
he's
him
out
low.
of here.
Forces the beads. Scylla misses.
And Aegis
Sickum
the crush.
misses the
Not
crush.
Unfortunate. Dino just a bit off the mark there on that crush. Would have cleaned off the Cupid just fine, but ultimately, if you're GG, I don't think you're unhappy with that fight either way.
Yeah, definitely not a horrible fight. I mean, you were behind and you are, closing that gap a little bit. It was looking at about a 4,300 gold lead, and we're down to about a 3,000. So definitely an improvement.
And Onher has just been continually free farming over here in this left lane, looking like he's going to finish off what I would imagine is going to be an Atalanta's bow in that 6th slot. He has prioritized this oboe this Silver Branch bow the last couple of games, but that 20% pen on Atalanta's, while we've still got it before the nerf, is just so strong.
Yeah, we see him maybe out of position, not realizing the Kukulkan behind him as he just looks to fight this Medusa.
That's the Aegis from Medusa. Can it buy her enough time? She will get the kill, but oh, bye-bye. It's this Kukulkan with the fully stacked Book of Thoth and all of those other magical power items. Just absolutely one-shots the ADC for Galactic Gangsters.
Yeah, and I think that really just comes down to Muffin's playstyle of just being hyper-aggressive in that lane and not really warding. Definitely punishing him for that, as they might be able to look to, maybe get Marissa a little bit more caught up. Still not finished with that gauntlet of Devos Gauntlet. There we go.
Yeah,
Brain
Cupid
don't work
not
too good.
either. That's okay. It's been a long, exciting set. I'm feeling the effects of it as well, as we're looking to pound this chase here for Sally Salamanders. Not quite on the mark with the Kukulkan abilities. Nope, nobody's bleeding here, so it should be a pretty clean disengage, and we're going to continue to dance around this fire.
Yeah, definitely, Sally Salamanders still in the driver's seat here as they look to take down this Pyromancer, and it looks like they will be able to uncontested, yeah.
Yeah,
And they're still...
this burn is so strong.
Yeah. Double ADC with a full damage solo lane mage is extremely strong. As it looks like they're just going to immediately go towards that Gold Fury. And I mean, 2 ADCs there will shred it incredibly quickly.
Absolutely, and Ravana and Scylla are around. Obviously, the steal potential of Scylla is there. Kukulkan also
I don't think they have the ward coverage there. Looks like Ravana might accidentally stumble upon them and just say, I'm not looking to fight there. No, just goes for the Nike instead, as they do go ahead and take that.
It's a big objective again for Sally Salamanders, pushing their lead to almost 6,000 at the 23-minute mark. Definitely a substantial lead, not insurmountable if you're GG. Still a silver lining there, and that you can still fight into this, but a whole lot more of a lead for Sally Salamanders, and these fights could definitely start to be more and more one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see, Banjo doing a little bit better on this Ravana here. Still building that nice hybrid build that I certainly like on some gods, and he's 5-1 doing pretty well. As Muffin Man gets caught out again, he's just not able to sit in this lane anymore. They've said, okay, if you're just going to get aggressive and continue to stay in this lane, we're going to punish you for it. As Ravana also looks like he may go down here.
The Harpalm doesn't stun. Does he beads it, or does he just not have the passive stack? I'm not super sure that he might get out. Kukulkan is on the chase over there in the jungle. I don't know that a Kukulkan is going to be able to catch Ravana too easily, but this tier 2 tower looks like it might fall through with a double ADC shred as a result of that kill on the Muffin.
Yeah, and I mean, that was beats and blink on the Ravana there, so he's going to have a much harder time into this next fight.
Yeah, engaging into these fights is definitely going to be a struggle. Muffin does die. Does he die with both actors up, or did they come back? I'm not super sure. Either way, it will be nice to have those in the upcoming fight. The CC chain very strong, though, and Ganesh will fall trying to tank this tier 2 tower for the boys.
Yeah, now, one thing I'm seeing here is the Pride win on Nike. Now, right now, I don't really like that on her. And that's just because she doesn't have any defense. it scales off of defense, and there's just none. There's no other defense item there. It's only the, what is it, 30 of each defense on that, as well as 20% cooldown reduction.
20% CDR on that shield, yeah. It does maybe allude to the fact that we could be looking at an Assassin's Blessing sale for a Mantle of Discord. We know that's pretty common with these junglers, especially in this kind of tanky meta. But on the flip side, we see the Anshile pick up for Ravana, maybe looking to shut down the ability of this Kukulkan to fight into him if he gets on top of him.
Yeah, I mean, Kukulkan really doesn't get that close. However, it will, stop the Ganesha from comboing after his dash after the knockup there. So not going to be able to get that Ohm off immediately after.
Yeah. And we know Ohm on Ravana. Ravana not opting for this kind of auto attack build we see on some of these meta jungles. So that Ohm is definitely a powerful tool in terms of backline peel for this double ADC composition. So wanting to maybe, I definitely understand the thought process between wanting to maybe prevent that ability from blocking off some of the damage coming from Ravana. 26 minutes into the game here, Ruler, we've got ourselves an 8,000 gold lead in favor of Sally Salamanders as these teams look to get a bit more farmed up before we fight over this stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, 8,000 at this point isn't, super, super serious. I mean, it's a pretty big number, but at the same time, people are starting to approach the end of their builds. Nothing too crazy there.
Now, this experience gap is also pretty prevalent. 3 levels in the mid lane in favor of ex-Playboy Uzi, and 3 levels in support in favor of Anissa's ES. So the XP differential is probably seeing more of an impact than the gold differential heading into this fight.
Yeah, definitely, looking still around that 8,000 gold lead as, they look to just dance around here, and I mean, they certainly could do a lot more pressure, they're all grouped up here. They have 2 ADCs, you can look to try to split push, maybe try to create just a little bit more pressure somewhere else.
Yeah. Absolutely could, as both teams are going to have all ultimates, all actives, looking at a full force fight. And going back to what we had talked about earlier in the game, Kumba does elect to go for the Sunder here, maybe looking to prevent this Nike from causing too much of a problem in the backline with that ultimate. And hold on here, we've got a lot of engagement going on as we jump onto the Cupid. Fields of Love and Odin page come out. Cupid very low, Odin still in the backline. Dino just off the mark with the ultimate. Nike ult comes out, provides an enormous shield as GG is on the chase. Big P does find the ultimate onto Dino. He is deleted. Muffin Man on top of Ganesha finds the kill. Got a lot of low health bars here. The ultimate from Muffin cleans up Big P, and it looks like they might get this tier 2.
No, that's a fire giant. That's a fire. Odin taking a little bit of weird pathing, but he is going to go ahead and go over there, and I'm not sure if they can burn it quite fast enough to be completely uncontested. But if the Kumba goes to zone or the Odin goes to zone, it should be alright.
Yeah, they should be fine. Kumba, one of the strengths of that god, we don't see him a lot, has a lot of CC at his disposal, can definitely prevent this Cupid from getting in. Cupid no ultimate available, Nike no ult as well, so they're going to have to steal this without those big abilities. Cupid's in, the hard bomb is on it, you've got a DPS. GG does confirm in kind of a coin flip situation as they look to disengage off with those low health bars.
Yeah, Galactic Gangsters do manage to sneak out that secure. Definitely, struggling a little bit with that, with the Scylla going down in that fight previously.
Yeah, big turnaround for Galactic Gangsters. They're still down 7k, but you know what they say, Fire Giants, about 10,000 gold worth of buff. So this next fight is going to definitely be slightly in favor of Galactic Gangsters, but if we look at the relic situation, both backliners have beads and Aegis, whereas Sally Salamanders, they've got almost nothing.
Yeah, definitely looking better on the relic aspect of that. All 3 of their damage dealers have all of their relics up, so this could be an extremely big fight for them. And I'd love to see them start pushing down these towers. I'd love to see a group up on left lane, but they're kind of just splitting, and that's a little bit of an interesting choice. As Odin starts to rotate over, it looks like they are starting to go ahead to that left lane.
Yeah, trying to get these waves pushed up a little bit so that obviously they're going to look to wipe all 3 of these towers down, get themselves back even in this gold department, and maybe siege a Phoenix at the end of it before they run out of time with FG. But it's difficult to do it. This is not EFG. Those backdoor protections are not reduced by 75%, so you got to siege the old-fashioned way. You got to have some waves pushed up.
I mean, it still reduces most of the backdoor protection. It's just not the incredible amount.
Yeah.
So we see a good Odin Ravana go ultimate onto the Medusa, taking her down pretty quickly. After she pops it, it still goes
We
down.
gotta hit the tower. My boy Kubo's so low. Ganesha comes out, he's on top of it, trying to fight into this FG team. They do get some low health bars, but nobody falls quite yet. As we get the 1 pick, we get the tower, we expend quite a bit of resources, but they're gonna look to shove down mid as well.
Yeah, I mean, they have the resources for it. It is a 4 versus 5 scenario. And they're just going to go ahead and start pushing up these middle wave minions and, you know, just look to do this while they have this numbers advantage. They do lose a little bit of health, but with that FG buff, they are regenerating slowly, and they just have to, you know, pick their engagement here.
Khan is difficult to siege into, though. That wave clear, especially with the build he's opted for, is going to be very strong. And it's pretty it covers a good chunk of that tower range, so trying to get Muffin a clear path onto this tower is going to be difficult.
Yeah, and by now, Marissa on the Medusa has already respawned, so it's going to be a 5-on-5. Whoever Odin hits everybody inside of it.
The big P finds a big one on the Banjo on the dive. The Ganesha zones pretty well. Muffin Man is able to burn through Nike's ultimate. That shield stays strong. Kubakana does land an excellent Thunder onto Nike to make that kill possible. Is he going to be able to get out of here? He is, but I think Sally Salamanders have done a great job of defending their tier 2.
Yeah, they've done a great job of defending while they have that, you know, fire giant disadvantage there. So definitely good plays from them on the defense there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a clean disengage for Galactic Gangsters because they are all resetting back to base except for this Scylla, and they've got about 1:10 left on this FG. There's a chance they try to re-siege that mid tower.
No,
maybe even
they only have
right.
15 seconds. It goes away a minute before the fire giant respawns. It looks like we do have a pause here.
Yeah, we are at a pause. My apologies, everyone. I was looking at the Fury respawn, thinking they had 1:15. Just 15 seconds left, so we're going to be looking at another dance around FG. This has been one exciting set.
Yeah, it looks like, again, we're going for these nice long games. I'm expecting somewhere around a 35, 45-minute game again. Just back and forth. These teams are relatively evenly matched. You know, they're both playing very well.
Yeah.
Other
Absolutely.
than that, let's talk about a little bit of the specifics of the builds here. Odin opting for the Jotuns. A little bit of an interesting choice. I do love the Stone of Gaia. Kokan ult knock up. Nike
Ganesh
jump knock up. Ganesh knock up. Definitely a solid pickup there. Banjo has, you know, a pretty good hybrid build there. Sledge, Void Shield, and Sile. Gonna give him, you know, a little bit of power while also giving him enough bulk to get in these fights and not instantly die. So I'm not hating on that build. See, Chronos, Soul Gem, Doom Orb. Yeah, not the greatest of made builds. Not sure about the Chronos Soul Gem rush every game, but to each their own. I'm not a mid lane player myself, so I can't give too much insight on that. Gonna give them, you know, more chances at secure, but they haven't really been in charge of these objectives, so not really using that to their full benefit. Then we go down to Muffin. We see standard ADC build, getting the Berserker Shield, which is a absolutely great item against the double ADC comp that they have drafted, along with the Nike also putting in a ton of work from the jungle. Just, you know, I'd say that's definitely a worthy pickup. I love the mid Guardian on the Kumba. You know, double ADCs, they're both getting slowed. I wouldn't even mind if he replaced that Guardian's Blessing with a Witchblade to further lower that attack speed. The other side we see
there.
The other side we see pretty standard build for Kukulkan. Getting the Book of Thoth, the Soul Reaver, Tahuti, as well as the big old percentage pen from the Obsidian Shard,
Mhm.
and the Spear of the Magus, giving the extra little buff to the rest of his team. Nike, gets the Pride Wind. Pride Wind doesn't really work on Nike. The passive doesn't proc, so
Mhm.
gonna have to be a little bit suspicious about that pick there. Now that I'm really starting to think about it, not gonna get the value out of it, the extra shield after the ultimate. So maybe a little bit of a more questionable pick up there.
Does cap off her build with that 40% CDR though. With
She's
the
actually
at
over
30.
capped, I believe.
Is she?
Erendite's 10. That's 20.
Pridwin's
That's
20.
30. The
And
last
she had the
item,
mantle.
Mantle,
So
that's 40. Yeah, okay.
Yep. It is going to help her cap off with 40% CDR, but I want to touch back on Muffin's build. We see that nobody on the side of Sally Salamanders has gone for the Thorns relic with this triple backline that they've drafted. It would be pretty difficult to incorporate unless you got it on the jungle. So maybe Muffin realizes this, and maybe he wants to do a bit more damage in these fights and could opt for, we just saw he just sold his boots. He is sitting in Fountain, could opt for maybe a Fail Knot or some other sort of crit item to try and help two-tap these the enemy backline a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a Fail Knot there. I could even see an Ichabal to, be able to efficiently box both hunters, taking away that attack speed. Other than that, nothing too crazy on builds. Hopefully we can have Rose pop back to him real quick. Wasn't quite done looking at the Ganesh's build.
He was overcapped on CDR, I noticed, only by 10%, not something you're oh, I was wrong.
That's
Okay, no.
That's 60%. 10 on boots, 20 on breastplate, 20 on Pride Wind, 10 on Shoguns.
Yeah. 60% CDR, that's kind of where you want to you start to show concern just a little bit. 50% CDR, we are going to unpause here, so we don't want to spend too much time talking about these builds. But 60% CDR is where you kind of start to think, maybe I can be creating this build more efficiently, but ultimately, Ganesh is plenty tanky enough to do the job that they're looking to do.
Yep, looks like we see the pause, unpause, right back to pause. Maybe didn't give the other team enough time to get back. Maybe the other team also took a little bit of a break there, so nothing too crazy there. Other than that, I am, seeing the Toxic Blade on Cupid. Don't think that's bad, but it's also not great. There's not too much healing on the other team. I don't think it's really necessary. And I mean, Scylla, where's the pen? Where's the pen?
Not a lot of ability to kill the tanks for Scylla at all. I guess they're relying on Muffin pretty exclusively to be able to kill this Ganesh. I guess the thought process is you're not really dealing with a traditional two-tank comp, with Nike only having the two defensive items and Ganesh being the only true tank with the solo laner, opting for this full damage Kukulkan build. But regardless, you've got to think that with how often Nike has been on top of Scylla, you'd want to be able to return some of that damage a bit.
Yeah, it looks like we are finally getting back into it. Everybody's moving around this time. So hopefully we can get back into this. Looking at the Fire Giant coming up in about 50 seconds. I'm assuming that's the next time we're really going to see any big engagement.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm seeing is Galactic Gangsters only has one upgraded shell. I think that, you're going into two auto attackers. I think that they could have went for at least two.
Yeah.
I my team likes 4. I don't know if 4 is the right number, but I don't think 1 is against double ADC comp.
The recent nerfs to Shell may be the reason we see that prevented, but we do see 3 upgraded shells on the side of Sally Salamanders, really attempting to shut down what Muffin's able to do on this auto attacker, obviously in the hunter role, and it's worked pretty well. We've seen Muffin top of the player damage charts in both games, at least on his own team, and in this one all the way down there for second on his team and 4th overall at just 14k in 33 minutes. Those upgraded shells have really been putting in work in these team fights.
Yeah, definitely. We also see the difference in the aggressive relics being the Frenzy and the Sunder, so a little bit of a difference there.
Yep.
It looks like we are just going to go ahead and dance around this enhanced Fire Giant. I mean, could be big. Goes in, doesn't get a whole lot done. Everybody's just going to disengage. Well, it looks like Kukulkan is looking to start to get that right lane to slow push for his team.
Yep. Important to note here that Sunder on Kumba has been big in terms of peeling this Nike a bit off of Muffin Man. However, that does leave them without a sprint going into Fields of Love. We've seen ex-Playboy Uzi find a couple of big ultimates to really solidify some of these team fights. Could be something to watch out for in this next engagement.
Yeah, definitely going to have to be a little bit more careful around that. I mean, you also have the Kukulkan with slows, the Ganesh wall with slow. I mean, it could definitely have been a very big relic pickup for them there.
Absolutely. As again, we see Sally Salamanders just kind of controlling these neutral objectives. They do solo out this Oni Fury, something we also saw them do in game 1. So GG is going to look for the fight right now.
Yeah, that was a really good call for Sally Salamanders there, saying, okay, you guys took the Pyro, well, we're going to pretend like we're looking to fight you. And really, we're just going to have Medusa go get that Oni Fury, and we're going to get a lot of pressure towards this Fire Giant while we have those minions start to push down those lanes.
Yep, with the deepest ward on the side of Galactic Gangsters being just inside the blue buff on their side of the map, it looks like there was no way for them to know that there were only 3 people lurking on the side of Galactic Gangsters. So like you said, great call from Sally Salamanders to get themselves some extra pressure around the map.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're able to, you know, force this fight at Fire Giant and not let them back off to clear those waves, this could be massive for them.
Huge. Huge. Odin Gauge is in. Odin is in.
Odin is in.
Frenzy is popped for Ganesha. They're looking to DPS this guy quick. The Ganesha ult comes out as well. Marissa finds the kill onto the arc effect on the Odin. As we see a blink in coming from Banjo on this Ravana, and Nike is diving the backline as well. A lot of peel for this on her. He is putting in a lot of work. Big P will clean up the Ravana without any follow-up. Nike ult comes out just to provide that extra safety, and on her has to be to get out of field alive.
Yeah, and this is a huge fight for Sally Salamanders. Remember, I mean, they've gotten 2 picks, and they also have these Onis starting to push down these towers.
Yep.
Oni's getting pretty close. Kukulkan takes down another.
This is trying to press the peel. He does have his passive up, which is good.
On her does
Muffin does get 1 kill. He is not able to get both. Can they clean up Kumba in time? Not quite. Can they get him after the fact? Onis are going to solo out both the left and the mid Phoenix, and I think that might be game.
I think this is game. You still have another 10 seconds before Odin comes up, 20 until Banjo comes up. I think that they just go for it. They can take this pretty... it could be a little risky. They are looking a little low. Yeah.
It's a risky call. We're low on the side of Nike. You've only got one of the auto attack of head. This could be big Ganesh ult. Odin Cage comes out to try and prevent this in. Nike jumps into the Odin Cage. Not something we see a lot, but I think this is game. And a great set from Sally Salamanders. Closes it out in a 2-1.
Yeah, and that was just a great fight from Sally Salamanders. They really played that counter engage well. They said, okay, Odin, come on in. He jumped in, went for the ult, and just immediately got blown up, and they really turned the team fight from that point.
Huge fight from them, and it will find them the win as they are looking like one of the stronger teams we've got in the league, coming off of a 2-1 earlier in the week against Phoenix, and now on this new Galactic Gangsters team. However, if you're on the side of Galactic Gangsters, there's not something to hang your head on. Sally Salamanders, obviously a great team. You're a brand new team sitting at 1-1 in official sets right now. You've definitely got a lot of things to look forward to into this as this season progresses, as you guys fought really well.
Yeah, that's just a good set from them. So looks like we will be hopefully seeing someone for an interview here. Hopefully we can get that set up shortly. And it looks like we do have left click go Burr up here for the interview. How is it going after that good set there?
It's going good, you know. A reverse sweep, that's always a fun set to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely glad to see you guys take it out. You guys really, kind of surprised us with how well you guys played the mage solo. Really able to just do a ton of work from that solo lane.
Oh yeah, Big P plays multiple roles. Solos may not be his main role, but we'll make the best of it.
I know we were awful critical on the desk going into game 2 on this Poseidon solo pick. Was the Poseidon solo Athena jungle something you had practiced coming into this set? We saw you pick up the Staff of Mirrodin as well. Were you just really focused on getting those 2 opportunities to taunt into that big Kraken?
I got the Staff Mirrodin mainly for my 3, but, you know, because 2 3s will hurt.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Kraken is really good. I mean, we didn't really practice it. You know, Athena is one of my best gods I've ever played,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I love Athena. And Big P can play Poseidon. It works out. You know, the Kraken taunt. We got a couple that did that. You know, but it was mainly a team effort. I mean, even though we got a lot of pressure out of solo lane, you know, we couldn't have done it without all of our players. Marissa holding lane, not losing lane
Yeah.
that badly. Putting Playboy on that Cupid really showed us what he can do with those hunters. And you know, Asnus just doing Asnus things where he just plays support and W keys.
Yeah, definitely did quite a bit of work in the support role. I think both teams really had impactful supports this set. Other than that, you know, you guys played the double ADC twice in a row, you know, getting the Soul last game and the Medusa this game. So
Yeah.
is that something you guys really kind of focus on?
You know, it was just something that came up. After game 2, him playing the Cupid so well, we decided, you know what, we're gonna play Cupid again. Honestly, we were looking at maybe picking up this Soul again, but you know, we picked up what we needed to, and we made it work and got this game, and we did what we needed to win this game.
Yeah, you guys definitely pulled it out. I think a lot of people would even call it an upset. You know, a lot of people certainly rooting for Galactic Gangsters. So I'm glad to see the underdog pull out a win.
Hey, I like winning, so
All right, Pete, you got anything?
No. I just want to say it was excellent set from you, Left Click. Very well played. I thought if you go back into your voice chat and you want to say anything to the boys, tell them that Pete on the desk said ex Playboy Uzi had a fantastic set. The apples of discords and the stripes in game 1 were huge. And trying to keep you guys in it. And this Cupid was, as you highlighted in your interview, just an absolute monster of a pick in this final game. So give everyone my props, and great game to you guys.
Thanks so much.
All right, so that's going to be it for tonight. That was Galactic Gangsters versus Sally Salamanders. This has been Ruler Men, joined by Pete on the couch. Thank y'all.
Thank you guys.